Oof, Nicotonio, LSD cards, Coca-Cola before they ruined it, method acting, cracked screen repair. There are so many, hobbies, so many substances with so many varying effects. Some similar, some different, some complete opposites. If you've ever wondered purely for educational purposes, of course, what all the hype was about, why people get hooked on these hobbies, which ones are not so dangerous, and which ones you should generally avoid. Whether you're a curious little George, a degenerate doomer, or a seasoned veteran, this is a must-watch. Because we're going to cover a topic I truly wish was included in the standardized education system and subjectively tell you everything you need to know about what every drug feels like. And as an extra disclaimer, I would like to emphasize that all of this is for educational and scientific purposes, and in no shape or form am I promoting any of these things. I'm just trying to inform the public about the dangers of everything mentioned in this video. Let's start with the most PG ones and work our way up gradually to the not so PG ones, hopefully keeping this video blessed with that green dollar sign. Nicotine. The sneaky little devil that owns real estate in almost every gas station, 7-Eleven, grocery store, you name it. Technically one of the least harmful substances on this list at first glance, but behind that soft, relieving, tingly tickle, it's quietly planting spores in your brain. Every hit gives you a short dopamine burst and a nice little boost in focus. When you first start, you don't even need much to feel the buzz. But over a day, 2 days, a week, a month, it steadily builds up an army of permanent little brain goblins with only one job.
Nicotine. You need nicotine, then do it.
And every time you do, they get fatter. They're feeding on that delicious Nicotonio juice. And the bigger they get, the louder they scream. The weird thing about nicotine is that if you could somehow perfectly tame it and consume it in a harmless way, like chewing it or something, it actually has some upsides like improved focus and alertness. Unfortunately, it's addictive, which kinda sucks, and most of the common delivery methods are rough on your body. Worst case, you're smoking zigs, which first of all, you're basically doing one of the few things we as a species know for a fact causes cancer, and you smell. Vaping is a bit better, but still not good. Pouches are decent, but overdo it and your gums enter a recession worse than the economic one. Gum is technically the safest, but once you're in the nicotine ecosystem, it's very easy to go from gum chewer to jewel puffer. What nicotine feels like ends up being less about the buzz, the tingles and quick dopamine kick, and more about the subscription model of enjoyment. It becomes the enhancer to whatever you're doing, so you always want it nearby. Thankfully, or unfortunately, unless you're deep in the wilderness, there's always a shop close by with a Middle Eastern or Indian clerk ready to supply. So I dub Nicotonio generally unsafe, one you should try to avoid if you can. But now, nature's gift to humanity, the harmless plant of harmony. Well, unfortunately, however much I wish that were true, it's not. When you take a puff off Gandalf's pipe, what you feel varies a lot person to person, but generally you'll get a sense of chillness and acceptance. It increases the meaning and interestingness of things around you. Mundane stuff becomes content. Puff too much though, and you overshoot the sweet spot, and every extra molecule of Zaza just starts overwhelming your senses and thoughts, sometimes causing anxiety, the very thing it promised to destroy. The vibe also depends a bit on the type. Puff some Vietnamese sativa and you'll usually feel more energetic and mentally active. Go Indicano and you're in gravity modes. But overall the core feeling is similar, it's mostly the expression that changes. Boof tends to fit better with goal-driven people and not so well with naturally chill people. Why? Because if you're very driven, it helps you relax, and it's harder to get hooked, since it's only really enjoyable when you're not drowning in responsibilities. But if you already don't give a fuck, the Zaw can amplify that and potentially lock you into permanent chill modes, which can send life stats downward. That said, many people use it responsibly and get relaxation, connection, and increased enjoyment of simple things without developing dependency. So I'd call grass moderately safe. Not a must avoid like Nicotonio, but definitely one to treat with caution. Moving on to another one of nature's fruits though. Mushrooms. Mushrooms are less of a feel-good boost and more of a journey or mission. Unlike substances that reliably make you feel good every single time, mushrooms are just as capable of making you feel not so good if your mindset or setting is off. After eating them, your stomach might do a little gymnastics routine, and after about 30 to 45 minutes, you'll likely start smiling at shapes and giggling at things that absolutely don't deserve it. The come-up can feel like being faded, but with a clearer head. Dose matters a lot. Lower doses feel playful, thoughtful, colorful. Higher doses go deep. Very deep. I've had doses where I felt like a cartoon character, laughing, overthinking everything, seeing light pattern movement, and breathing visuals. And I've had doses where it felt like I was visiting another dimension, reality warping, control reduced, thoughts spiraling into questions about existence itself. But every trip shares one thing: the afterstates. Mental clarity mixed with exhaustion. Mushrooms are generally mentally taxing, so you usually don't feel like jumping right back in. It's like watching a long, confusing movie and then needing an explanation video, not another confusing movie immediately after. They're not typically addictive because tolerance builds fast and the experience is demanding, but psychological attachment is still possible, especially with frequent microdosing turning into a daily mental crutch. Still, overall, I dub mushrooms pretty safe, especially since many people report long-term positive mental effects even from a single well-handled trip. But now for the party pill, the one that makes everything feel good by massively boosting serotonin. Basically, it takes a big chunk of your brain stored happiness chemicals and drops them all at once over a few hours. In the moment, it can feel incredible. True bliss is honestly the best way to describe it, but there is a dark side, a very dark side. What it feels like during is emotional warmth, connection, empathy, music hitting different, people feeling amazing, conversations feeling important. Your brain is basically in max serotonin boost mode, but afterward, yeah. Even if you only do it once or twice at a party, the days after can feel rough. Not always, but often. Emotional emptiness, slight detachment, low mood, like nothing hits the same, not because you're permanently fried, because you just overstimulated your serotonin system and now it needs time to rebalance. You experience turbo happiness for a few hours. Normal happiness feels like the demo version after that. Usually after one or two uses, this dip fades in a couple days as your brain refills and resets. Sleep, food, and time help a lot. If you abuse it though, bit of a different story. That emotional flatness can start lasting longer. Mood drops harder, anxiety episodes, sleep gets messy, motivation tanks, and brain fog rolls in. The magic disappears and people start chasing the first roll, which never really comes back the same way. And here's the big difference between this and something like mushrooms. Mushrooms are more of a journey you can bring something back from. E is mostly just a few hours of chemically amplified bliss that feels like 10 minutes in hindsight, no built-in lesson, no deep insight, just you, white pupils, loving everyone at the function. And the dangerous part? I'm not gonna lie, for many people, it is one of the most fun nights they've ever had, which is exactly why it hooks people into repeating it. So genuinely, do not try it. High fun, high cost potential. This one goes into ultra avoid tier for me. Not recommendable, and personally one I regret touching, because once you felt that artificial maxed out bliss slider, you know it exists and you can't naturally recreate that exact level, which kinda sucks to be aware of. But now for Coca-Cola pre-patch. Coke is like E's more business and alpha male centric brother. Both are considered party substances, but whereas E is more of a empathogen, boosting feelings of connection and emotional warmth, Snow is a pure stimulant. It doesn't make you feel connected, it makes you feel like you're the shit. Confidence, speed, alertness. That's what it boosts. Your brain feels sharp, your mouth runs at 2 times speed, your ideas feel brilliant, and your jokes feel amazing, even when they absolutely are not. It's definitely a very fun time, but one you're more likely to look back on as, man, why did I say that, than you would with E. Because unlike E, where you're hugging people and talking about childhood memories, Coke mode is more like interrupting people, explaining things nobody asked for, and feeling like the CEO of the room. The big difference is duration too. Coke hits fast and leaves fast, which sounds nice, but that's also the trap, because when it drops off quick. And that's when the redose demon taps you on your shoulder. Just one more time, bro. You need that boost to pull that baddie. And that one more loop is where a lot of people get caught. The crashes are just as bad as E, but different. Less emotional emptiness and more dopamine drought. You feel drained, irritable, unmotivated, like nothing feels rewarding, sleep gets weird, appetite swings, and your brain feels like the fun switch got turned off. With heavier or repeated use, that low drive, low mood state can last days or even weeks. And again, unlike mushrooms where the experience is the point, or even E where people chase emotional connection, coke is mostly just speed, ego, and stimulation. No built-in lesson, no afterglow wisdom, just borrowed energy with interest. But, well, I guess the upside or risk or whatever is that you can be highly functional on snow, kind of like Adderall but with a side dish of ultra confidence. But still, this one lands firmly in the ultra avoid tier for me too. Drugs. Something America has been fighting against for over a century, yet this endeavor hasn't been very fruitful. Basically, imagine the ocean as all the drugs in the US, and they have thousands of people with buckets slowly emptying it out. But the problem is, on the other side of the ocean, there's dudes like Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria who have direct pipelines feeding in endless amounts of pure Colombian cocaina. But you know, Pablo was the GOAT narco. Surely after defeating the Medellin cartel, things would get... Oh, well, fuck. Basically, because the US is by far the biggest market in the world, there will always be tons of entrepreneurs, mostly South American, who want to invest. And because starting a tech company with only 100 pesos and a 2-cylinder motorbike is pretty hard, why not settle for the next best thing? Drugs. From the opium crisis of the late 19th century to the current fentanyl one, we are going to look at every drug epidemic in US history and hopefully by the end of it, learn why the fuck does this keep happening. So let's start it off with the first one. The opium epidemic of the late 19th century. Welcome to the late 1800s, where opium is basically America's favorite snack. Got a headache? Opium. Can't sleep? Opium. You're feeling a little bit down? Yup, opium. Doctors were out here handing them out like strip club invites on the Las Vegas Strip, especially in the form of laudanum, a fancy mix of opium and alcohol.
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team fucking here.
Hey, yo, doc, you think I could get a quick refill on that prescription laudanum? You know, that good shit. Sorry, John, we're all out. But here, take this Jack Daniels and powdered opium. Just smack a hit from the pipe and wash it down with the Jack, if you know what I mean. That should get you back on track. To rehab. Oh, geez, thanks, doc. Now, excuse me as I go get fucked up on my medicine and partake in my favorite 19th century pastime, beating my wife. Godspeed, John. But then the Chinese immigrants arrived, working hard and bringing along the practice of smoking opium in dens. These dens were kind of like the Starbucks of the day, except instead of coffee, they served up a bowl of relaxing opium. Naturally, this made some folks nervous, cause nothing says panic like a little cultural exchange mixed with drugs. Then came the moral outrage, which wasn't just about the opium, but also had a hefty dose of racism. Suddenly people decided opium was bad news, especially when it involved Chinese immigrants. So San Francisco passed a law in 1875 targeting these opium dens, effectively saying no more public opium fun for anybody. By 1914, the US government got serious with the Harrison Narcotics Tax Act, making it way harder to get opium without a lot of paperwork. And just like that, the first US drug epidemic started to fade, leaving behind a legacy of questionable drug policies and a whole lot of finger pointing. So what did we learn, or rather should have learned? Well, maybe that it's a bad idea to get the entire country hooked on a substance before figuring out how addictive it is, and that blaming everything on immigrants never really solves the problem, but alas, this lesson was forgotten pretty fast. Now let's jump to the second multi-drug epidemic, which was the heroin, speed, and barbiturates crisis of the mid-20th century. Did you know heroin wasn't always the notorious bad guy we know today? In fact, it started as a miracle drug that was supposed to cure people of their morphine addictions, which I think you're probably starting to see a bit of a pattern here with the US being overly confident in their medical knowledge and getting people hooked on hardcore drugs. Tom, what are you doing with that morphine? Oh, well, I've had this headache since the morning. Well, good luck with that. Morphine is like super addictive, bro. What's that? Oh, this is just heroin. It's like way better than morphine, like way better. Heroin is in fact better than morphine, specifically 2 to 3 times strong. I mean, better. Anyway, doctors back then really did think they'd hit the jackpot. Got a cough? Here's heroin the hero. Feeling a little down? Heroin's got your back. But instead of curing addictions, it just traded one addiction for another, stronger one. And people got hooked faster than you can say Chain's FR clone. Fast forward to the 1960s and 70s, and heroin was like that super obnoxious drunk guy who refused to leave the function. It spread like wildfire, especially in cities. You had everyone from jazz musicians to war veterans getting tangled up in heroin's sticky web. It was cheap, it was potent, and it was everywhere. And then came the crime. As you might guess, a bunch of people addicted to opioids isn't exactly a recipe for peace and harmony. Crime rates soared and cities became battlegrounds, with heroin at the center of it all. The government's solution? A big shiny war on drugs, which mostly involved cracking down on users and dealers with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Instead of helping addicts, they threw them in jail, which was about as effective as smoking indica to boost productivity. Around the same time, there were actually two other drugs that were causing havoc as well: barbiturates and amphetamine, aka speed. On one hand, you had amphetamines, or you might know it by its street name, speed. No, not that speed. That speed, yeah. But why was it called speed? Well, cause one dose of these Chaos Emeralds could get you tweaking around like Sonic. These little fuckers were like rocket fuel. Feeling tired? Pop an amphetamine. Need to lose weight? Amphetamines to the rescue. Trying to stay awake for 3 days straight to grind the new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and become an Omni Movement god before anyone else? Yup, you guessed it, amphetamines. But after all that speeding around, people needed to come down, and that's where barbiturates came in. These were the downers that help you sleep, relax, or just stop vibrating like a jackhammer. Doctors handed it out like candy, thinking they were the perfect solution for everything from anxiety to insomnia. The result? A whole lot of people bouncing between being wide awake and dead asleep, often with a little too much of both. People started getting seriously hooked on this cocktail of uppers and downers, and it turns out when you mix the two, it's a recipe for disaster, like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. Overdoses skyrocketed, and suddenly, the party didn't seem so fun anymore. It was shortly after Marilyn Monroe and Judy Garland died from a barbiturate overdose, the government finally decided to step in, cracking down on these pills and making them harder to get. And just like that, America had to find other ways to stay awake or chill out. But now we are arriving to the more well-known controversial epidemics, first of which is the famous crack cocaine epidemic 1980s to 1990s. Crack was like cocaine's cheaper, faster little brother. It was easy to make, easy to get, and way too easy to get hooked on. Think of it as the fast food of drugs. Cheap, quick, and leaving you with serious regrets. Crack hit poor urban neighborhoods the hardest, spreading like crazy. Suddenly, everyone and their mama could afford to get high, and before you knew it, communities were being torn apart by addiction and crime. The government's solution? War on drugs, Infinity War. Okay, that's not what they called it, but I mean, it was technically a sequel to the original War on Drugs. But unlike the Avengers, who went after the big bad guy behind the chaos, it mostly involved locking up minorities, even if they were caught with even a tiny, teeny bit of crack. It was like a cruel game of gotcha, where basically everyone lost. Crack is also one of those drugs that if you do it once, it changes the biochemistry of your brain. The euphoria you feel from smoking that shit goes way beyond what the brain can produce itself. So once you get that feeling, your brain will start equating true happiness with smoking crack. That's why even people who are able to quit will most likely never be the same again. If you ask Dave Chappelle, the whole thing was a tragic, darkly ironic mess. He pointed out that when crack hit black communities, the government's response was all about punishment, not help. Fast forward a couple of decades, and when opioids started affecting white communities, suddenly everyone's talking about treatment and compassion. As Chappelle famously joked, it's funny how the tune changes depending on who's affected. The crack epidemic wasn't just a drug crisis, it was a stark lesson on how race and class can influence government response. And while crack might have faded from the headlines, the impact of those years is still being felt today. But before we can get to the current opioid and fentanyl epidemic, we have to quickly skim over the drug best known from a bald cancer patient with a chemistry degree. The meth epidemic, 1990s to present. If you thought Red Bull gives you wings, meth gives you freaking rocket boosters. It's cheap, it's easy to make, and it turns you into a jittery paranoid tweaker real fast. Meth, like everything else in this video, spread like wildfire, especially in rural areas where it became the go-to solution for anyone needing to stay up for days or just looking for a fun time. Before long, meth mouth and tweakers became common sights, and communities were left dealing with the fallout. The government's response? Cracked down on the ingredients. Suddenly, buying cold medicine felt like trying to smuggle pure Colombian. But despite the regulations, meth didn't go away, it just got sneakier. Hello? Hello, Doc. Yeah, funny story. Basically, everyone in my community, family, and all my friends and shit, they got a nasty cold, so, I'm gonna need, all your cold medicine, like every last bit, bruh. Sorry, you don't look very sick to me. Trust me, doctor. I'm a sick man. Now give me your fucking cold medicine or I'm gonna burn this freaking place down. Around the same time, there was also the prescription opioid epidemic, but the story there is basically the exact same as the opium one. Only difference being that this time it wasn't technically the government's fault, it was big pharmaceutical companies who convinced doctors that opioids had no side effects and could be prescribed out like Tic Tacs. Spoiler alert, these were some of the most addictive drugs in the universe, and comparable to Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, but only like 1 or 2 stones. Now though, we're gonna talk about what happens when opioid Thanos gets all 6 Infinity Stones. The fentanyl epidemic, 2010s to present. Now we're in the 2010s, and if the prescription opioid epidemic was Infinity War, then fentanyl is Endgame. Fentanyl is super potent, like 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. A tiny amount can knock you out, and by knock you out, I mean send you to the gulag where you either clutch it or it's game over, bruh. The scary part, fentanyl is showing up everywhere, often mixed with other drugs like heroin or even cocaine, usually without the user's knowledge. Suddenly, what might have been a manageable, if still bad habit, has become a deadly gamble. One wrong hit, and you're dead. The government has scrambled to respond, focusing on harm reduction, distributing naloxone, an overdose reversal drug, and setting up safe spaces for users. But fentanyl keeps spreading, turning every drug purchase into a potentially fatal decision. The practice of meeting a stranger at the club and bonding over some pure Colombian is really dying out, man. All jokes aside, if the devil is real, then fentanyl is 100% his doing. Out of all the legit hardcore drugs talked about in this video, this makes them seem like some indigo weed. Whoever sells fentanyl knowingly should be judged not as a drug dealer, but as a murderer with intent to kill. I'm grasping at straws here, but the only good thing that might come out of this is awareness about the dangers of drugs. And although teenagers are stupid, I'd hope that this crisis might push away would-be first-time drug users, as the chance of literally dying from doing anything is so likely these days, you might as well be playing Russian roulette. And now you have the full overview of American drug epidemics. What did we learn? Well, we might have learned a lot, and I don't know about the government though. Hopefully, I guess. There are so many, but don't get it twisted. Just because something is a drug doesn't automatically mean it was meant to be consumed in the dirty stalls of nightclub bathrooms. Even most of the substances that do fall into that category were never intentionally designed for it. Take one of the most famous magic powders, for example, cocaine. Like many other potential life-destroying addictions, Coco Loco didn't mean any harm. In fact, I bet when Albert Neiman isolated coke from cocoa leaves in 1860, he had no idea he was setting the stage for future South American entrepreneurs to thrive. It was actually first used as an anesthetic by dentists and surgeons. But over the next 150 years, it morphed into what we know today. Coco Loco was praised as a miracle drug for fatigue, depression, and even toothaches. It was a common ingredient in tonics, elixirs, and yes, Coca-Cola. Sigmund Freud, the famed neurologist, was one of its biggest advocates, calling it a magical substance and even prescribing it to his friends and patients. Unfortunately, Freud later regretted his enthusiasm when he realized the drug's ultra-addictive properties, particularly after seeing his friend Ernst von Fleischli-Marxoff develop a severe coke addiction. But hey, what you gonna do? Well, lay off the coke, I guess. But $200 per gram snow isn't the only notorious drug that was once legal. In fact, I think you'll be quite surprised by how many of today's big no-no substances started off their career as miracle drugs and were prescribed as medicine by doctors and shit. Which the next one we'll be talking about was actually used in World War II to create super soldiers unafraid of death. Basically, imagine the entire plotline of Captain America the First Avenger, but instead of that blue super serum, they had methamphetamine. World War II super soldier pills. World War II wasn't just a clash of nations, it was a showdown fueled by, well, meth. Every major power looked at methamphetamine and said, you know what would pair nicely with tanks and fighter planes? What? Okay, hear me out. A highly addictive stimulant that makes soldiers feel invincible. That way, if somehow survive the war, they won't just have the PTSD, they'll also have the crippling drug addiction. What combo? You, sir, are a genius. I'll run it by Evil Mustache Man tomorrow. The Germans were all in on methamphetamine because, well, of course they were. In 1938, a German pharmaceutical company developed Pervitin, which was essentially meth in pill form. It was so effective at keeping soldiers awake and focused that it earned the nickname Panzer Chocolate, because nothing says war effort like drug-laced can. Blitzkrieg tactics, rapid, relentless, no-sleep attacks weren't just about strategy. German soldiers were popping Pervitin like they were at a rave. The drug kept them awake for days as they marched across Europe, which might explain the whole "let's invade everyone" vibe. Soldiers wrote home about how great it was. "I felt alert, powerful, and unstoppable." Translation: Dear Mom, I am on meth. It is amazing. Fun fact, Adolf Hitler himself was a walking pharmacy. His personal doctor, Fyodor Morel, gave him regular methamphetamine injections to keep him energized. Some even considered that it might have been his downfall, because, well, it is hard to keep a clear and strategic mindset while you're on more drugs than a festival main event. Japan wasn't about to be left out of the stimulant arms race either. Their version of meth, Philippon, was handed out to soldiers, factory workers, and kamikaze pilots. Yes, kamikaze pilots. Imagine being told, "Hey, so looks like you're flying a one-way mission today, aka you're going to die, but here's some meth to make it more fun. Japan for the win!" Fist bump. No. Okay, well, I'll be on my way. Handing out more meth. The Allies weren't innocent in this drug-fueled war either. Well, they didn't have Pervitin, they had Benzedrine, an amphetamine that was basically meth's slightly less chaotic cousin. British and American troops popped these pep pills to stay awake during long bombing raids and grueling marches. British Royal Air Force pilots used Benzedrine to stay awake during night raids. Some of them were so wired that after bombing German cities, they'd come back, clean their planes, and write detailed mission reports in cursive. Side effects? Well, a few pilots became so overconfident they ignored orders, which is probably not ideal when you're flying a plane full of explosives. By the end of World War II, methamphetamine had carved out a reputation as both a war hero and a total disaster. Sure, it helped soldiers stay awake, march faster, and bomb better, but it also turned them into jittery, paranoid wrecks. Post-war, many soldiers came home with what we might call battlefield meth habits. Nothing like trying to adjust to civilian life while also coming down from a free-year stimulant bender, eh? Which makes me wonder, what if instead of meth being the substance of choice in World War II, everybody was just smoking the Lord's loud?
We must invade everyone. We must kill everything. Perhaps we should just call this bullshit off.
This next drug might be even more well-known and its history even weirder, and that is MDMA. From lab coat to dance floor. First off, MDMA wasn't created for partying. Oh no. It was born in 1912 in the lab of a German pharmaceutical company called Merck. The chemist behind it, Anton Kurlisch, wasn't really trying to invent a drug that makes people hug strangers at music festivals. He was working on an entirely different problem, synthesizing medications to stop excessive bleeding. MDMA was just a random byproduct in this quest. It was an accident, which is somehow the most MDMA thing ever. Did Merck realize they'd accidentally created a future rave drug? No, not at all. They didn't even test MDMA on humans. Instead, they filed it away under meh, not important. It was just another molecule on a long list of maybe useful someday compounds. Fast forward to the 1950s when the US military and the CIA were doing some totally normal Cold War things, like trying to figure out how to use drugs for mind control, aka MK Ultra. MDMA caught their eye as a potential tool for interrogations because, you know, nothing screams top-notch spycraft like dosing people with a chemical that makes them feel euphoric and want to talk about their feelings. Did it work? Not really. Turns out making someone feel like they're floating on a cloud doesn't exactly make them spill state secrets. It'd probably make them say things like, you know, I feel like we should all just get along. Not exactly espionage gold. The 1970s rolled around and MDA finally found its groove, not as a party drug, but as a psychotherapy aid. Therapists rediscovered the compound and started using it in sessions to help patients open up emotionally. Why spend years breaking down emotional walls when you could just take MDMA and bulldoze through them in one afternoon? Like all good things, MDMA's peaceful little therapy bubble couldn't last. The drug escaped from the therapist's office and somehow landed in the hands of partygoers. By the 1980s, MDMA had become the ultimate nightclub companion. In classic marketing genius, someone decided that MDMA didn't sound cool enough for the club scene, so they rebranded it as Ecstasy. Boom! Instant hit. By the mid-80s, Ecstasy was everywhere. Raves, dance floors, house parties, you name it. People loved the euphoric high, the amplified sense of connection, and let's be honest, the way it made techno music sound like the voice of God. Naturally, this didn't sit well with the authorities. By 1985, the US government officially classified MDMA as a Schedule 1 drug, meaning it was deemed highly addictive with no medical use. Despite being banned, MDMA didn't just vanish, it continued thriving in underground scenes and became a staple of rave culture. Meanwhile, researchers never gave up on its potential for therapy. In recent years, it's had a bit of a comeback, this time as a possible treatment for PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Studies are showing that MDMA-assisted therapy is shockingly effective, especially for people with severe PTSD. It turns out the same drug that makes people hug strangers at Burning Man can also help veterans confront their darkest memories. Talk about range. But staying on the topic of MK Ultra and the government's attempts at mind control, there's another drug that caught their eye, and that is LSD. The story of LSD begins in 1938 with a Swiss chemist named Albert Hofmann, who worked for the pharmaceutical company Sandoz. Hofmann was tinkering with compounds derived from ergot, a fungus that grows on rye and other grains. His goal was to develop a stimulant for respiratory and circulatory systems. Instead, he accidentally created a psychedelic ticket to another dimension. Classic mix-up. When he first synthesized LSD, it didn't seem particularly interesting, so he shelved it for 5 years. In 1943 though, Hofmann revisited the compound, and while working with it, he accidentally absorbed a tiny amount through his skin. This led to the world's first acid trip, which Hoffman described as unusual shapes with intense kaleidoscopic play of colors. Which, I wish he had used an easier word to describe it, so I wouldn't have to Google its pronunciation.
Kaleidoscopic.
A few days after his accidental exposure, Hoffman decided to take 250 micrograms of LSD to see what it could do. Spoiler, this was way too much for a first trip. Soon after, he realized he was extremely high and decided to bike home, thus creating Bicycle Day, the unofficial holiday for LSD enthusiasts. Hoffman described it as a state of dreamlike euphoria mixed with terror. Everything around him warped and shifted. He thought his neighbor was a witch, his furniture was threatening him, and the walls were melting.
Gonna kill
Fun!
ya.
And yet, Hoffman still considered it a fascinating and valuable experience. That's commitment to science right there. By the 1950s, LSD wasn't just a curiosity, it became a promising tool for psychiatry. Sandoz marketed it as Delicit and sent samples to psychiatrists and researchers worldwide. Therapists believed LSD could help patients confront repressed trauma, treat alcoholism, and even boost creativity. It made people talk. A lot. Patients would have emotional breakthroughs, experience vivid memories, and feel like they were seeing the truth of the universe. Therapists thought they had found the ultimate shortcut to inner peace. A notable success found by researchers was that LSD could help alcoholics quit drinking, with some claiming they experienced a spiritual awakening during their trips. It was like AA, but with rainbows and fractals. As with most cool things in the 20th century, the US government took one look at LSD and thought, how can we weaponize this? Enter MK Ultra, the CIA's infamous mind control project. LSD became the drug of choice for experiments and unwitting subjects. The CIA thought LSD could be used to brainwash people, extract secrets, or turn spies into super suggestible puppets. Apparently no one told them that acid mostly makes people want to stare at the ceiling and listen to music. Awkward. Anyway, the reality was that the experiments were a mess. Subjects, often unaware they'd been dosed, experienced paranoia, hallucinations, and existential crises. Turns out slipping LSD into someone's coffee isn't the best way to create a super spy. Who knew? By the 1960s, LSD had escaped the lab and landed squarely in the hands of counterculture pioneers. Enter Timothy Leary, the Harvard psychologist turned acid evangelist. Leary's mantra, turn on, tune in, drop out, became the rallying cry for a generation of hippies exploring their consciousness. By the late 1960s, though, LSD's reputation had gone from therapeutic miracle to moral panic. Stories of bad trips, psychotic breaks, and people thinking they could fly, hint they couldn't, spread like wildfire. Governments around the world scrambled to ban LSD, labeling it as dangerous and addictive, despite there being little evidence to support either claim. In 1970, the US classified LSD as a Schedule 1 drug, making it illegal for any use, even research. The summer of love was over, and the war on drugs was in full swing.
Since the dawn of humanity, us Homo sapiens and previously Neanderthals have always been different from the rest of the pack. Where zebras, deers, and other pussy-ass animals accepted the pre-installed food chain, we humans decided,
Man, screw this shit! These mammoths always walking around like they own the place.
I'm tired of being a beta. Let's go get a bunch of spears and kill these fat motherfuckers for food. The only problem with having self-awareness and as of 2024 being the smartest creatures in the universe is that with a cruel twist of fate, being so intelligent has also made us the saddest and most mentally unstable creatures as well. Unfortunately, being so sharp, we have over the years, through the power of chemistry and science, invented or tried to invent happiness in capsules, syringes, powders, or anything else we could come up with. So today, we are going to go over humanity's worst creations in the field and dive deep into horrifying drugs you should never ever try, starting with crocodile, aka desomorphine. Crocodile, also known by its chemical name desomorphine, is a synthetic opioid that is notorious for the horrifying physical effects it can have on users. Originally developed in Russia as a cheaper alternative to heroin, crocodile is typically made by combining codeine with toxic chemicals like lighter fluid, paint thinner, gasoline, hydrochloric acid, and even red phosphorus from matchstick heads. The nickname crocodile comes from the scaly greenish skin that forms where the drug is injected. Yup, you heard right. Your skin literally starts looking like a crocodile's because this stuff is so toxic it causes the tissue to rot. We're talking about skin peeling, scales forming, and bones becoming visible through flesh. Ew. You'll be looking like Green Goblin, bruh. Except for like, super strength and a cool glider, you'll just have a life-destroying addiction to a DUI opioid. Fair deal. Desomorphine itself is a powerful opioid, synthesized from morphine and more potent than heroin in terms of its pain-relieving effects. Crocodile doesn't just mess with your brain, it goes straight for the body. After shooting up, you get a brief heroin-like high, but the aftermath? The drug stops blood flow to your skin, which then dies and falls off. So if smelling like expired meat and looking like a jockey from Left 4 Dead sounds fun, crocodile is perfect for you. Although crocodile's high is similar to heroin, it's a much shorter kick, with effects usually lasting only about 90 minutes to 2 hours. This leads to a frequent need to inject, with each rep making you more goblin-y. And with how addictive this stuff is, a full transformation is usually weeks or even days away. Once injected, the toxic additives in crocodile begin to cause serious vascular damage, cutting off blood supply to tissues. This leads to necrosis, aka tissue death, often within days of regular use. Users commonly experience infections, abscesses, and gangrene at the infection sites. The skin around the sites may rot and decay, exposing bone and tissue. Some users even require amputations because of severe infections, which after hearing all this, you might understand why some people call it unhealthy heroin.
Who's that guy?
Oh, that's Tom. Yeah, he's into all types of messed up drugs.
Damn, hate to say it.
Yeah, don't talk to him. He's definitely a bad influence. Let's move on and talk about a drug that is extremely dangerous, but in a much different way, and that is scopolamine, aka Devil's Breath. If a drug could win a supervillain award, scopolamine would sweep the category. Imagine something that could turn you into the world's politest zombie, calmly handing over your wallet and life savings to complete strangers, and then thanking them on your way out. That's Devil's Breath in a nutshell. Scopolamine is classified as an anticholinergic drug, meaning it blocks acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter involved in memory, learning, and muscle control. This disruption in neurotransmission can cause hallucinations, amnesia, confusion, and loss of free will. Even in small doses, scopolamine can impair cognitive function, making users susceptible to suggestion, which is why it's sometimes exploited by criminals. High doses can lead to extreme sedation, paralysis, and unconsciousness. Basically, although not as physically harmful as crocodile, Devil's Breath literally makes you into a remote control zombie. In some parts of South America, particularly in Colombia, scopolamine is infamous for its use in crimes. Criminals blow powdered Devil's Breath into the faces of unsuspecting individuals or add it to their drinks, rendering them compliant and susceptible to suggestion. Victims often experience antegrade amnesia, meaning they cannot form new memories. They may follow commands, give away personal belongings, reveal their bank information, or even assist in robbery while in this zombie-like state with no memory or little memory of the events afterward. Hello?
Where am I? Who are...
Yo, Jack Dorothy's stream, fam. Here, sit down and watch this for 6 hours.
Wouldn't it be, more productive for you to have me rob a bank or give you my bank details or anything else?
Nope.
Well, Fuck. It's not all super bad though. I mean, in modern medicine, scopolamine is still used in very controlled doses to treat motion sickness, nausea, irritable bowel syndrome, and to alleviate symptoms of Parkinson's disease. At therapeutic doses, scopolamine is relatively safe under medical supervision, but its effects increase dramatically with higher doses, leading to severe mental and physical side effects. All in all, if you have plans of becoming a supervillain anytime soon, this might just be the thing to get you going. Now though, moving on to the next substance, and that is Flocka, aka synthetic bath salts, aka alpha PVP. Flocka is basically the result of someone saying, you know what, bath salts aren't intense enough, bruh. It's a synthetic stimulant, and while the high might start as a short burst of energy, it quickly turns into an episode of The Walking Dead. Only this time the zombie is arguing with a mailbox cause it looked at him funny. So how does it work? Well, imagine you're suddenly the star of an action movie where you're invincible and can outsmart everyone. Except in reality, you're flailing around the street wearing one shoe and debating philosophy with a stop sign. Flocka disrupts the brain's dopamine system, so while you feel invincible, you're actually just terrifying every passerby.
Where are the Fruit Loops, you slime? You told me you'd give me my Fruit Loops today.
Excuse me, sir? Are you okay?
What? Of course I'm not okay, my fellow Space Ranger. This intergalactic death slime won't give me my goddamn Fruit Loops back. You got any dark matter on ya? I'm stumped without it, brah. Come to Florida. It'll be great this summer.
Flocka users often experience what's called excited delirium. In normal people language, that's overheating while trying to lift a car. The combo of a sky-high body temperature, Hulk-level aggression, and an indestructible sense of purpose is basically a recipe for disaster. Flocka has also been known to cause kidney failure and severe paranoia. So not only do you think the trash can is plotting against you, but now you need a whole new kidney, man. The worst part is, people tend to get hooked on Flocka faster than you can say, maybe this was a bad idea. It messes with the brain's reward system, so once the high fades, users often want more. And that's how you end up asking a lamppost for directions to the nearest dimensional portal. Flocka is not here for a fun time, neither a long time. If you value your dignity and don't want to star in a viral video titled Local Man Fights Tree, Loses, it's best to keep this one off your list. Now though, for the last substance that is very well known and extremely deadly, something I've already talked about on this channel, but this one is an ongoing epidemic and destroying lives as we speak, so I feel like I have to mention it here as well. Fentanyl, aka death. Okay, so no one calls Fent death, but they should, because this drug is known for killing people like flies. It might not be as extravagant as the other substances in this video, but that does not mean it doesn't belong here. Fentanyl is an ongoing crisis in the US, meaning unlike Crocodile or Flocka, which are niche drugs, by the time you finish watching this video, there'll be at least one person who OD'd on Fent. Fentanyl is slipped into everything from coke, molly, other opioids, and yes, even weed. As Dio Vaughn said to Vice President-elect JD Vance,
I don't know if I'd be sober if this stuff weren't killing people, to be honest with you.
Which might have not been super appropriate to say, but you know, he's kind of right. There is no escape from fentanyl. You do it once and you're hooked for life, which means a couple days to a week or two max. Cause if you're lucky enough to escape fent your first time, it'll get you so addicted, you'll most likely start considering selling your body on the streets to get more of this stuff. And then, well, OD and die. Hopefully, by the new appointed leaders of the free world, this awful pandemic could finally start declining, but until that day arrives, doing anything besides store-bought stuff is truly a deadly gamble. Substance addiction is a very scary thing. Well, it depends. A dude who's addicted to ashwagandha ain't gonna be on the same level of desperation as a motherfucking crackhead, but nevertheless, both them dudes still addicted. Only difference is, one is willing to lie, rob, manipulate, and destroy all his relationships just to get one more smack of that sweet, sweet crack. Anyway, since this seems to be a trendy topic right now, we are going to be ranking every substance from S to F based on many factors like addictiveness, how hard it is to quit, how much it affects your life negatively, etc. With F being the hardest to quit and most harmful for you, and S being just a mild addiction. And all of this will of course be presented to you in a family-friendly, comedic, entertaining, and scientific way, so YouTube, please, I'm just a funny stick man. So let's start it off with what your boy might be addicted to just a teeny tiny bit, and that's of course weed. Some people might say you can't get addicted to weed, and to those I say, bro, you dumb as shit. Okay, not to be mean, but that statement is just false, because as humans, we can get addicted to anything and everything. Even shit like a cool breeze on a hot summer's day could get you addicted, because that shit feels nice, bro. What I'm trying to say is that even though getting physically addicted to the Zaza is quite hard, getting mentally addicted addicted is easier than watching a 10-minute YouTube video. Well, if you're Gen Alpha, this doesn't apply to you with your skibbity toilets and stuff, but you get what I mean. It's all about habit and relieving stress, and even if you smoke up once a day at the end of your day when you got all your shit done and it's time to relax, you still mentally addicted by equating relaxation with smoking the Lord's loud. But overall, if I'm being a $125.5 with you, this isn't too bad, cause when you're at this level, you won't start tweaking if you don't have any weed. You just prefer it if you did. But if you do smoke up 24/7, it's a bit different, cause your body will start relying on the za to get you through your day. Although honestly, it's kinda hard to get to that point, cause if you're anything like me, after a day or two of smoking weed and doing nothing productive, your mind will tell you, oh boy, time to get faded and play V-Rising all day again. Bro, what the fuck is you doing? You really finna wake and bake again? You're broke, and you look like a damn bum. Man, I swear, you wake and bake today too, and I'ma start giving you mad anxiety, bruh. Oh, okay, fine. I'll be a functioning human today. Total busk. So all in all, weed gets a B rating because of its mostly non-addictive nature and relative ease in which it is to quit for most people. Very much unlike fentanyl. Not much to say here. Smoke once, you dead, bro. Don't have to worry about quitting cause, well, you're dead. Oh, but if you do survive, your brain has now been chemically altered forever, so now all you want is the stuff. So if not instantly, you're dead in a week or two tops. Although I think some people have managed to quit, they'll probably just never be the same again. So complete F tier. Nah, actually fucking Z tier. Don't even think about it, bro. Crack. Now, before I researched into fentanyl, I thought this was like the pinnacle of addiction. I guess not, cause I saw this clip of some dude talking about how veteran crackheads who have been alive for decades and still smoking that shit be dead instantly after taking a sniff of fentanyl. But even so, crack is F tier, cause just like fentanyl, it alters the chemistry of your brain, and now the pursuit of happiness turns into the pursuit of crack. Again, don't even think about it, bruh. Now let's tune back from the hardcore stuff in hopes that this video still staying monetized, which seems more like a fantasy right now, but anyway. Caffeine, the wonder drug, a widely accepted and extensively researched substance that works by stimulating your body and increasing the activity in your brain and nervous system. Just drink too much of it and it'll have the exact opposite effect, leaving you super anxious and unable to work properly. Also, it is somewhat addictive, although quite controllable, but if you do drink the same amount of coffee or shotgun a Red Bull every day, pretty soon you'll discover that the Red Bull isn't really getting you going anymore. So now you need another, so you either get another, or you realize that this is a slippery slope and not drink that Red Bull for a day or two and your tolerance goes back to normal. I found the best way to manage your caffeine addiction is to only consume it when you feel like you're gonna need it for the day. What I mean by that is if you, let's say, work from Monday to Friday, then drink a coffee or two those days, but refrain from consuming caffeine on the weekends. That should give your mind and body enough time to reset your dependency without it even being that hard. There's also a bunch of research showing that 1 or 2 cups of coffee are actually good for you and can lower the likelihood of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, liver and endometrial cancers, Parkinson's disease, and depression. So yeah, bro, I mean, with the other shit on this list, I think it would be silly for me not to throw it at S tier. But do keep in mind, moderation is always key to what you consume, how you plan your time, how you live your life, everything, bruh. But coffee, S tier, moving. Nicotine. Nicotine is like caffeine's evil brother, because just like caffeine, nicotine can increase your focus and help you get through your day. Only problem is, unlike caffeine, which I'd say for most people can be a controlled addiction, vaping usually isn't. In fact, a big portion of people who consume this stuff do it to the point of it having the exact opposite effect, making you dizzy and less energized. And just like caffeine, you build up a tolerance pretty fast, making your sin bombs less bomby with each stuffing. The worst part of Nick, though, is always gonna be the fact that most dudes are inhaling aerosol in their lungs to get it in their system, which from that you will experience gross side effects pretty fast, like phlegm in your throat 24/7, loss of lung capacity, and pretty soon anxiety when you can't suck on your vape for a prolonged period of time. But the actual worst part about vaping is that it's fucking lame as shit. And even though in high school it might have made you cool, in the real world being addicted to flavored cancer-infused mists really shows a lot about your character.
Character? What does that even mean?
It means that if you're like really addicted to the point of vaping every day all the time with no plans on quitting, it indicates that you're a mentally weak person, because at that point you sound like a ghoul from Fallout, run out of breath from walking up a flight of stairs, and you're constantly spitting shit from your mouth, aka you've turned into a gremlin, aka you're gonna be treated like a gremlin by people who aren't gremlins. If this is only something I've noticed, then so be it, but if I'm gonna keep it a $1.50 with you, every single person I know who is heavily addicted to nicotine is not a very productive / successful person. But hey, that might just be me and my personal experience, so make sure to comment down below if you've noticed something similar or I'm just talking out my ass. We're gonna throw nicotine at E tier just cause, well, crack is on F tier and, well, it's not that bad. Now though, moving on to a more psychedelic world. Mushrooms. I'm not talking about culinary mushrooms or even the ones Mario uses to grow bigger. I'm talking about the mushroom Luigi collects and saves at the beginning levels for when after the game is over to get on Rainbow Road, if you know what I'm saying. Psychedelics overall are not super addictive though, cause if you've ever been on a trip from these things, you know that shit is exhausting as shit. I mean, for real, after my heroic journey, I felt like my brain had gone through a month's worth of thoughts in one 5-hour session, leaving me completely mentally drained. But that doesn't mean mushrooms aren't addictive at all, because although not physically addictive, just like weed, mushrooms can be mentally addictive, cause when you're tripping, you feel like you're in this secret dimension of being, which gives you a sense of belonging and makes you feel special. And that feeling can be addictive, especially if you're not very happy with your current situation in your normal life. They can be used as an escape, kinda like Alice in Wonderland, but unlike more natural escapes like TV shows, video games, and movies, mushrooms leave your brain drained and confused. That's also the reason why if you go to a smart shop in Amsterdam, they always tell you to take at least a 4 to 5 day break in between mushroom trips. Firstly, because of the aforementioned mentally draining effect they have, but also because your body builds up a tolerance extremely fast to psilocybin, the chemical found in magic mushrooms. And if you bang multiple trips in a row, the effect will be much lighter, but also because of that, it'll feel less draining and therefore make it possible to take this stuff daily. And if you do, you can get a bit disassociated from your normal existence and therefore build up a bit of an addiction to mushroom land. All that being said, magic mushrooms are one of the only substances on this list that have been proven to have therapeutic uses, like for example fighting your other addictions. I know from my personal experience when I banked a heroic dose, it made me think a lot about how much I consume things like weed and nicotine, and from that I was able to cut both those things down a bit, especially the nicotine. I also know of people microdosing this stuff and having positive effects, but me personally, I don't really believe that, because if you're taking them every day, you'll eventually start relying on them, and that kind of defeats the whole point of tripping once and carrying what you learn into your normal life, I think. Anyway, all in all, mushrooms gotta be B tier, because when you do get addicted to them, it can drastically mess up your life. It's just kinda hard to get to that point. Substance abuse. Something that can develop over a short or long period of time, usually caused by the person's deteriorating mental health and being surrounded by the wrong people. Oh wait, sorry, that was 10 years ago. In 2024, it can also be caused by an artistically talented, god-complex, mad-popping dude's texts being leaked on social media and thousands of people hopping on his drug abuse train for the views, motherfucker. But we'll get to that shortly. For now, I'd like you to try and remember Tide Pods, the Benadryl Challenge, DXM, cough syrup. All these weird drug trips / challenges were made popular by social media. And today, we're gonna look at the most popular ones and what they were, how they started, and finally, how they ended. Starting with the Benadryl Challenge. The Benadryl Challenge was a dangerous viral trend that first gained traction on TikTok in 2020. The challenge encouraged users, particularly teenagers, to take excessive amounts of the over-the-counter allergy medication Benadryl to induce hallucinations. The participants would film themselves before and after consuming the drug, documenting their experiences as the effects set in. Girl, are you ready to get messed up? You know it, bitch. It'll all be worth it if we make the For You page a slay. Yas, queen. Okay, put it on recording now. Hey bitches! Today we're doing the Benadryl Challenge, which is supposed to get you seeing all types of hallucinations and stuff. And I'm joined with my BFF, Slurp for Clout 125. What's up, skanks? Anyway, let's get it started. Wah. Okay, let's see how this goes.
A few moments later.
Ruffles, when did you learn how to talk?
I didn't. This isn't even real. You're having a seizure right now, you dumb motherfucker.
Jeff, when you wake up, the Benadryl is fucking crazy. The Benadryl challenge was basically a dare for teens to overdose on a pill that when used properly helps you sleep off hay fever. When abused, oh, it gives you dreams alright, but instead of counting sheep, you might end up chatting with a lamp, mistaking your cat for an undercover FBI agent, or seeing things that, well, just aren't there. The risks included, but were not limited to, heart palpitations, seizures, unplanned naps, psychosis, kidney and liver failure, and finally, death. Of course, TikTok wasn't too pleased with being the platform that made overdosing on Benadryl a trend, so after a few high-profile cases, TikTok hit the brakes, yanking down videos really fast. The lesson here might be to keep allergy meds where they belong, as a way to make springtime bearable, not as a weird DIY acid trip. Anyway, moving on to the one that I remember very well, and that was the Tide Pod Challenge. If you don't recall the Benadryl Challenge, then I don't blame you, as it was mostly popular on TikTok in 2020. But Tide Pods? Come on now, bruh. Everybody remembers that shit. I ain't never been a big TikTok scroller, but I do love me some YouTube, and fortunately, or well, unfortunately, this trend was popular here too. Some call it the pinnacle of internet stupidity, where for a brief and horrifying moment, people decided that brightly colored laundry detergent pods looked so delicious that they should be eaten. You know, like candy, but instead of sugar and flavor, it's packed with toxic chemicals designed to clean your damn socks, bruh. Imagine scrolling through your feed and suddenly there's a video of some dude chomping down a Tide Pod like it's the latest snack sensation. Why? Well, no one really knows. Maybe it was the bright colors, maybe it was boredom, or maybe humanity just took a collective dip in the shallow end of the gene pool. Either way, it quickly became the internet's most dangerous snack. People bit into these pods, filmed themselves foaming at the mouth like rabid dogs, and then shared it with the world for likes. Because, you know, risking your life for internet clout is always a great idea.
You got the camera ready?
Yeah, but I don't know about this. I think you're not supposed to eat laundry detergent.
Ah, Jimmy, how many times am I gonna explain this to you?
Well, could you explain it again, please?
Long story short, you're gonna record me eat this Tide Pod, and in a week or two, we're gonna be driving around in a motherfucking Lamborghini, bitch!
But mom only gives us like $40 a week. How you gonna do that?
Man, screw the allowance. I'm talking about the Creator Fund, which is like $1 billion. Not to mention YouTube ad revenue. I mean, shit, look at Markiplier, that motherfucker rich as shit.
Well, okay, if you say so.
Yo, what is up, Bean Gang? You've been asking for the Tide Pod Challenge, and I'm here to deliver.
Jimmy? Tom? Why aren't you in bed?
Just a moment, Mom. We're doing laundry. Oh shit. Okay. Let's finish this tomorrow.
Jimmy? Tom? What are you?
You stupid boys.
Once the Tide Pod Challenge became headline news, the internet finally woke up and realized, wait, maybe eating toxic soap isn't the best idea? Schools, poison control centers, and even YouTube had to step in, issuing warnings and taking down videos left and right. Tide even changed the packaging, making their pods look less like forbidden fruit and more like the cleaning products they actually are. The challenge died down after enough people realized that fame isn't worth burning your insides with detergents. Now it lives on as a cautionary tale about the dangers of internet trends, and as the butt of countless jokes and what not to do with your free time. But now, time for the latest case of internet retardation, which is Whippets, aka Galaxy Gas. Introducing the Whippet Challenge, where people discovered that you could turn a simple can of whipped cream into a great way to kill your brain cells. All you need to do is huff the gas out of the canister and boom, you're floating in the stars, bruh. Spoiler alert, you're not actually in space, you're just temporarily starved for oxygen. But hey, what's a little brain cell sacrifice for the sake of a quick fleeting high, right? Whippets are really just nitrous oxide, so basically the same shit Vin Diesel gets installed in his cars. Difference being, Vin Diesel doesn't inhale it himself, I think. Anyway, the biggest entrepreneur in the whippet space is Galaxy Gas, which although they say is for making whipped cream, that's kinda hard to believe because, well, I mean, look at this packaging. I don't know. I'm not American. Maybe y'all motherfuckers just really take your whipped cream seriously. The info on this subject isn't super concrete yet, but from what I remember, it all basically started with Kanye's text being leaked and people discovering that Yeezus is into whippets, which then inspired thousands of people to do the same and uploaded it to social media. Hey yo, you guys know what's happening with Johnny? I haven't seen that dude in a while. Oh, John, yeah, I remember that guy. He got addicted to whippets and ended up killing half his brain cells, so they had to transfer him to a special school. Kinda sucks. What?
Didn't know dude was into shit like that. Where'd he even get those whippets? Walmart. So he got a fake prescription? No. They're sold at the home supply section for like $25, bruh. And you can get a shit ton of them. Damn, that should be illegal. Yeah, I guess.
Since this trend is still ongoing at the time of this video, we don't really know how it's gonna end. I checked Galaxy Gas's website though, and it seems they've toned down their marketing a bit, and I couldn't find him at Walmart either. But from what I understand, this trend seems to be one of the worst, cause even though eating Tide Pods or overdosing on Benadryl have the chance of being deadly, I'd assume 99% of people might have done that stupid shit once and realized, yeah, shit, I'll just do the renegade dance instead. With this, it's like an ongoing addiction, and every puff makes you more and more stupid and disabled. Shit, maybe that's how it gets you. If you do enough puffs, the cells in your brains to stop you from doing stupid shit get obliterated, and all you left with is Lil Ye's echoing, hit the gas, I'm a genius, give me what's so.
I think all of us here have been high before, and probably drunk too. But have you been both at the same time? Crossfading. Getting this mixture right is unfortunately quite hard, cause if you smoke too much, you'll be reduced from Mr. Life of the party into a disabled slab of meat on the couch, where you'll spend your night alternating between scrolling TikToks and eating Doritos from your belly. But man, you get this concoction of THC and alcohol right, and the two chemicals will fuse with each other and create something more than they were separately. You'll become Stage 7. I'm so fucked up, man. Nah, but for real, you know how the magic spice makes everything interesting, but at the same time it throws you in the 10x gravity chamber with Vegeta, so every drop of energy you spend feels like you just ran the 100 meters and barely clinched the win over Usain Bolt. Well, the Henny will fix that for you, so if you get the mix right, everybody's stories and conversations will become 5 times more interesting. But at the same time, you also violent off the Henny, so you got the energy to do stupid shit while being zoinked out of your mind. Hey bro, what you doing up here? Shit, we about to jump into the pool, fool! Ain't it a little small? Nah man, it's good, look at this! Hey bro, can you call the ambulance? I'm actually in very serious pain right now. Okay, so I've talked about how awesome it can be, but man, if you're actually wasted, don't smoke the za, cause the za makes it very hard to vomit, and if you're drunk as fuck, you can see how that can be very dangerous. But man, I swear, these guys be enemies one day and best friends the next, cause if you know anything about science like I do, then you know that the best cure for a hangover is that Cali exotic bud. So I always pack that first aid kit for the morning after the party. It can even be used as a vaccine, kind of. So by that I mean if you smoke up before a night out, your hangover won't be nearly as bad. I don't know, at least that's how it works for me. But bro, this one time I was celebrating my high school graduation by going camping with our entire class, and you know your boy got straight obliterated off the Henny and za. But thankfully in the morning I wasn't feeling too bad, but I felt it getting worse, so I went to my homie Salamander and politely asked, "Shall we partake in the rotation of the spliff, my dear man?" "Yes, I believe that is a stupendous idea." "Fabulous, shall we?" "We shall." And after that holy rotation, I was suddenly cured and went on to spend the whole day hanging out with our class in castle ruins, museums, boring shit like that. But once we got back to our campsite and my high had almost faded, I suddenly got real sleepy and I wasn't feeling so good. So me being the total geek I am, went to bed at 9 p.m. on my last day before I never saw these people again. And it must have been divine punishment or something, cause I woke up with my first and worst hangover I've had. And here's the kicker, I was out of kush, feeling like a badly programmed NPC. I hated everything that wasn't lying on the ground, fading in and out of sleep. Worst part was, everybody started packing and getting ready to leave, whilst I was in the most agonizing state my body had ever been in. I'm usually one to push through the bad trip or not feeling so good, but that day I was absolutely defeated by mortal man's only weakness, hoes and booze. I guess what I'm trying to say is, being crossfaded is usually a hit or miss. You either have the time of your life or you overdo it and end up being the weirdo at the function who falls asleep on the couch overnight, or even just blazes up at home and just forgets to even go to the party.
Wait, why am I even going to this party?
I quit getting high for 30 full days after years of consistent use. No wake and bakes, no funny gummies, and even no nighttime tokes. Did I take back control of my life, unlock my full potential, and level up like every Instagram influencer would have you believe? Or did I just realize something way simpler? Well, I guess first we should start from the beginning. The decision to go clean like a jelly bean. It started with my arrival into my new home, Amsterdam, the city of, well, drugs and weeds. Expensive weed at that. I was coming from a not-so-legal country, a country where the za was a rare blessing, a commodity not to be wasted lightly. But my new reality was unlimited zaza. So I smoked. I smoked weed every day, and the more I smoked, the chiller I got. I had made it, coasted up in my apartment, living like a king, playing Crimson Desert, eating pizza, and shooing hoops. Happily ever after, right? Well, the thing with happily ever afters is they don't exist. But the more I smoked and the more I chilled, the more I wanted to believe that they did. I was getting so faded and abusing the things in my life that actually had value as tools for unwinding and turning them into the main quest line. But inside, I felt empty. Not depressed or anything, but like something was missing. Purpose. And the way I had programmed my brain over that time was simple. Feel empty equals smoke it away, which we all know isn't exactly healthy. Until finally I snapped. I was tired of always being chill, always being calm like nothing's wrong when clearly something was wrong. So for the first time I started thinking, it's the weed. It's gotta be the weed. That's easy. I'll just quit. Okay, well, maybe after tonight.
One day later.
Wait, I was supposed to quit. Oh well, since I'm already faded, I'll do it tomorrow.
The next day.
Life is a highway, and I wanna ride it all night long. Wait, I wasn't supposed to smoke today. Fuck. No, hold up, brain. What's up, bro? You low-key got me effed up right now, dog. Yeah, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't run this place no more. Man, I can't believe I let this get so far. My brain refuses to accept the idea that the za might be a bit of a problem right now. If I was gonna fight my self-induced crippling Zaza addiction, I was gonna need some help. There was only one man on planet Earth that could bestow upon me the self-improvement and alpha male motivation I needed to get back to my usual ways. I'm talking, of course, about Prime 2022 Andrew Tate.
With sheer indefatigability, makes me a feared opponent in any realm.
Okay, that last part might have been a bit over-exaggerated, but point is, I decided I was gonna quit the za for 30 days on the spot, no questions asked. Not because I was doing bad financially, physically, or even psychologically. It wasn't like I was depressed or anything. I just wanted to prove that the only guy who runs the show in my brain is me. And if I decide to stop using our favorite brain tickler, it shall be so. And so it started, my 30 days off the za. I won't go over every single day, but of course I'll cover all the important bits, like day 1. I woke up with mild brain fog as usual, ready to take on the day with, well, I'm not gonna lie, a bit of sadness, because before my morning routine was, okay, time to do something productive. Whew, that was hard. Time to get absolutely obliterated. But now it was more like, okay, time to do something productive. Okay, what now? It wasn't that my brain was screaming, "We need to..." It was more like I just wasn't content with existing and working. My brain kept jumping. Go play COD. Nah. Go watch something. Nah. Go shoot hoops. Nah. Actually bust a nut. And usually the next thing would have been getting high, but since that wasn't an option, it was just chaos. But overall, not that hard, because I used my favorite life hack, working out. I worked out so much that day, I didn't even think about the za. I was just tired and went to sleep, but it really started getting more challenging on day 2. 2. I woke up same as usual, but that day I felt weird. Nothing scary or concerning, just off. It felt like the fog was starting to fade, but instead of clarity, it was more like, man, stuff really don't be that interesting no more. My desire to play games low, watch movies lower. The only thing that really interested me was working, making videos, building sites, posting. Basically my job, but everything has its turning point. I can't work forever, and even at 10 p.m., a time I usually unwind, nothing was hitting. All I wanted to do was sleep and start the next day, and that felt kinda sad. Like, damn, that's really my whole day. Wake up, work, sleep. Shit seemed kinda matrixy, not gonna lie, so I told myself tomorrow I'm forcing myself to do my hobbies no matter what. Which brings us to day 3. I woke up feeling better, had a bit of motivation again, did my routine, get dressed, brush teeth, make breakfast, work, gym, and I'm back. Back home, controller in hand, playing Crimson Desert, and yeah, it was fun. But I can't lie, there was definitely a big part of my brain saying, this would be way more fun, huh, boy? But would that really be the case? Even on day 30, I kept thinking, well, we'll find out. Because day 3 is where I really starting accepting life as a non-high man. Time for a time skip to day 7. 1 week in, at this point, I didn't really think about the za anymore. No cravings during the day, and even evenings were getting easier. Although every time I watched a comedy, I couldn't help but think, man, this would be so much better with a couple puffs off the bro cloud. But I stayed locked in, because if I stopped now, I still wouldn't feel like I was in control. So I kept going, which leads us to day 14. 2 weeks off the za, and honestly, it wasn't that hard. The thought of being fried at night started feeling unrealistic. Like, yeah, that would be fun, but not really happening. Like thinking about owning a Lamborghini. Cool idea, but your brain discards it instantly. But I also noticed something else. Although I felt like I had everything on lock work-wise, I was more stressed. Not constantly stressed, but more fixated on perfection, making sure I make 0 mistakes. Before, it was, oh shit, I'll deal with this tomorrow. Now it was, oh man, how was I so stupid? Guess I'm not sleeping tonight. And I think I actually preferred the first one, because constantly worrying about things going wrong makes it feel like something's always wrong, even when it isn't. And that continued into day 21. By week 3, I had basically forgotten about the za as something I do. I still knew it existed, still remembered the fun, but it felt like a memory, like childhood, something you know you can't fully recreate again. Everything was going smoothly, only thing is, like I said, my stress levels were still higher, not because things were going wrong, but because I was thinking they might go wrong. As for hobbies, they were back to normal. I enjoyed gaming and shows again, but now purely as a way to unwind, which low-key made me sad, because as a kid, the best gaming sessions were when you weren't allowed to game. Faking being sick, or actually being sick but still grinding your character. That forbidden feeling I used to recreate by getting obliterated during the day was gone. Day 26. At this point I knew I could smoke again soon, but the question was, do I even want to? I had 0 cravings. Some days I didn't even think about it once, which might sound normal, but for me, after years of consistent use, was crazy. And that just reinforced everything good I've ever said about the za. But the moment of truth came on day 30. The final destination. I knew it was day 30, so I was thinking about it all day. Big decision. Do I stay off the za, or do I blast off from a single crumb thanks to my reset tolerance? At first I thought, if I smoke again, this was all for nothing. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it wasn't the za I was addicted to, it was dopamine. The za just enabled it, and comparing it to nicotine, which I also quit, not even close. Nicotine was way harder. I can't even begin to explain how much easier it was to quit this than that. And thinking back, the best highs I had were never from doing it 24/7. It was when it was planned. Weekends, after a hard day, something to look forward to. And so the conclusion I came to was, it's a Zaza life for me. Ya boy went to the coffee shop, got some exotic Tropicana gelato, and got absolutely effing obliterated. But this time, different. No autopilot, no everyday habit. Wake and bakes are fine sometimes, but they gotta be planned. You can't let your brain get used to doing whatever it wants whenever it wants. Because if you actually want to enjoy the za and still live a fulfilling normal life, you need discipline. But hey, who knows when my next Zaza bender will be, cause let's be honest, living life on the high seas is never stable. But a pirate loves every moment of it. I don't know about you guys, but I swear, these days whenever I go outside to catch some fresh air and enjoy the glory of the sun, I'm instantly greeted with mofos triple tapping the Elfington like it was a raid boss. Young, old, fat, ripped, it don't matter. Everybody consuming the Nick some way or the other. Shit, not even our goddamn elementary schools are safe. 12-year-old kids be waking up one day and just being like, you know what? Today seems like the perfect day to get an awful addiction that I will regret for the rest of my life and struggle to control daily. Yeah, better hit up Jimmy too. Maybe he wants to join in. But not all nicotine addicts are the same. In fact, there are a lot of different perspectives on the whole addiction aspect. But one of the worst types to be is the dude who never admits he is addicted. We all know a dude like this. Mofo be sucking on the Benjamin 24/7 or stuffing pouches under his gums every 5 minutes. But when asked if he is addicted, he always hits you with the, "Nah bro, just the fuh. I can quit whenever. I just don't wanna right now." Like, what you mean you don't wanna? Bro been consuming so much Nick, his brain has literally turned into a damn elf bar. And when you tell him to prove it by, I don't know, not vaping for a week, they always hit you with that, "Man, I ain't gotta prove nothing to you. You don't know me, what I've been through. I'm a dog. I'm a killer." No, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Even though this dude kinda stubborn, I feel for him. Cause who really wants to admit they can't stop? But this next dude, I don't feel bad for at all. The guy who seems to think it's cool to be addicted. Okay, no one thinks it's nice to be addicted, but I mean, that's what this guy pretty much is. They think vaping makes them cool, and therefore shames others for not wanting to. In reality, pretty much every other nicotine consumer will tell you to never start doing it, and that it's much cooler to just breathe air. So, therefore, this guy is, or at least should be, hated by everyone on planet Earth. And if you ever catch a mofo pushing vaping to a homie, just run up on him and slap the shit out of him. Kick him in the balls while you're at it. Or, I don't know, at least spit in his face or something. Fucking asshole. But enough of this hobgoblin, let's move on to the dude who smokes cigs. Okay, this might offend some people, but cigs are goddamn disgusting. And I'm pretty sure they're even worse for you than vaping and nicotine pouches, although don't quote me on that. This guy lives and dies by, "It's all natural, bro," and proclaims, "At least I know what's in it." Like, sorry for hanging on to hope that just maybe, I might not get cancer. Cause this dude already marked his calendar for the good old iron lung. Not much to say except for, man kinda smells, so 1 out of 10. Never touch nicotine, let alone cigs. But now it's time for the occasional addict. Okay, this one is near to my heart, cause sad to admit it, this is kinda me. This dude doesn't have his own vape or pouches or cigs or anything, but that doesn't mean he isn't addicted because he still consumes Nick whenever he's offered or the opportunity arises. Speaking from experience, this guy kind of in limbo cause even though there could be weeks, even months when he doesn't touch the Elfington, but then one day he might go somewhere with the homies and do something like this. You wanna hit this? No. Okay. On second thought, so yeah, even though it's a seasonal addiction, it's still an addiction. So call yourself out every time a nicotine addiction moment happens. But time for the last one, I only consume Nick when I'm stressed. So, you only hit the Puffington when you're stressed, eh? So, what qualifies as being stressed? You lose your job, you get robbed, you lose your car keys, you stub your toe, you experience a mild inconvenience of forgetting the lights on in your room, so now you have to go all the way upstairs to turn them off. So, yeah, as you can see, this one is kind of a slippery slope, cause believe me, the more you mess around with the Nick, the more you're gonna be in moments like this.
What? That's so... Man...
Unfortunately, it's all a ruse, cause in reality, you only consume Nick when you feel like it. So you're addicted, just like everybody else. And a word of advice, don't start vaping, okay? It's not good for you. Running out of za. Man, I swear, this phenomenon is always so unexpected. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason, however long I plan ahead and try to time my grass running out, it always comes kicking in like the damn Kool-Aid man. I'll be out here the night before looking at the bottom of my grinder like,
Okay, I guess I gotta buy some more tomorrow.
and then when the next day comes, I'll be all flabbergasted like, oh boy, nothing better than some good old za at the end of the
Day.
What? This can't be. How have I ran out of za? I literally just had some
Yeah,
And now that you realize that you out of grass, you got two, well, three options. You either accept your fate and just go on with your night, hit up your plug, and get ready to lose out on your hard-earned money, or the legendary special down bad method I often do, empty out all your grinders, search through all your pockets, and scrape together one last hit so you can delay the buying of the za for one more day. But although I do this quite often, I don't recommend it, cause I swear, those scrape together hits are always some 20% plastic, 20% dust, 20% dirt smack dabbly doos. So every time I do hit that awful abomination of a bowl, it'll have me all paranoid about what the f did I just smoke like? Man, why that smell like burning plastic? Why am I not even high? Bro, why am I so lightheaded? Mom, I think I'm dying. So basically what I'm saying is, scraping together hits from basically nothing isn't really the healthiest move you can make. But shit, hitting up the plug at the end of the day is a struggle in its own right. Cause I don't know why these damn plugs are always unavailable when you need them the most. Like Mr. Invisible could be spamming me all day with Snapchats like... But then later, when your hitman's up asking for some za, he disappears like the Avatar. Doesn't even open your messages. These plugs really don't care about us for real, man. Speaking of which, that reminds me of this one time when we ran out and had to travel through the whole of the ghetto version of Narnia just to get some za. It was just a normal day, well, night, where me, Salamander, and Ricky had planned to smoke some grass and just chill. And of course, Salamander, being the ultra reliable photographic memory dude he is, informed us that he def has enough grass for us all to enjoy at his place. So me and Ricky pull up, excited as you can be, only to arrive at the house and be informed, yo, what's good? Are you ready to get absolutely schmacked? She, of course, fool, but what? Yeah, I just checked my room and, well, it turns out I don't have any grass. What do you mean you have no grass? You said you had a ton, bro. Yeah, I mean I did, but I kinda smoked it all. Man, what the... Why you gotta do us like that, bro? You got us all hyped for this, and now we're here in your mansion and you're telling us there's no grass? Like bro, I'm finna cry for real, man. Yeah, bro, you're right, I'm sorry, I messed up. But don't worry, I already hit up Jimmy the Plug God. We can drive there now. Okay, sure, let's go. So we go into Salamander's parents' car, which was sleek AF, and quite literally went to the bad part of town with it, feeling like some mafia bosses, for real. But once we arrived at Jimmy the Plug God's house, he was nowhere to be seen, and well, turns out, dude hadn't even texted Salamander back. He just had us come here in hopes that the time we arrived, he would. As we were sitting in the car, waiting for a good 15 minutes at that point, Salamander tells us the dude's probably isn't gonna respond. But he already wrote another plug and he def gonna hook us up. So we drive to a new place where this time the plug was actually waiting for us. So we hopped out the car and walked towards him. Yo, what's good, bruh?
Yo, what's up?
So, do you got that Zaza?
Of course, yeah. Here it is.
Bro, is that 2 G's like I asked?
Yeah, it's just compact, you know, like a dime.
Bro, fuck off. If that's 2 G's, then prove it. What are you waiting for? Put it on the scale.
Nah, bro, I don't sell to people who don't trust me. Disrespectful AF.
Nah, bruh, disrespectful is trying to show the long-term customer in his hour of need. Keep your diamond to yourself, big dog. We outta here.
Yeah, whatever. See.
As our hopes were dwindling, we were in Salamander's car about to call it quits when the only plug that was exclusive to me and nobody else knew of finally responded to my message saying to meet up and that he got the za. So we go to yet another location in hopes that finally we would get our now well-deserved bag of grass. And once we arrived at the meetup spot, which was a pizza restaurant by the way, we parked the car and text Mr. Invisible that we're outside waiting for him. A good 10 minutes goes by with no response, so the overall mood is starting to get pretty gloomy as we quite literally have just driven around for hours trying to secure just a smidgen of za. And although we were truly experiencing a Gen Z 21st century Great Depression, we were saved with the text.
Oh, he responded.
Oh snap.
What'd he say, bro?
He said, yeah, coming out now.
Nice.
And this time, he actually did. Dudes came out with an apron, chef's hat, and the long-awaited bag. So we went there, and thankfully, it was actually 2 G's, not a diamond. And man, I ain't never been so glad for just a smidgen of za in my life, but can you blame me? I mean, this was a full-on journey, and although the time was like 11 p.m. at this point, we weren't too discouraged as we thought, screw it, let's pull an all-nighter, baby. So finally, after hours of waiting and talking to incompetent plugs, we arrived back at the mansion and did what we came there to do. Smoke a shit ton of grass, eat an unholy amount of munch, and wake up the next day feeling more hazy than a foggy morning. Which the highlight of the night was definitely when Salamander said he was gonna bake some magic cookies, but since we were already f***ed AF, dudes left them in the oven for like 3 hours. And then finally, when we had that oh shit, the cookies moment, we went there and found them completely burnt. But you know, we still ate them and well, they kinda worked, I think. I don't know. We were so blasted, we probably could have eaten some damn Oreos and thought ourselves more high because of it. So all in all, running out of za is for some reason always so unexpected. But I've learned to enjoy the journey as much as the destination. And although at the time driving around searching for was annoying AF, looking back at it, it was actually pretty fun. And the night was definitely more memorable because of it. Every type of cannabis explained, from weakest to strongest. We'll be looking at everything from the near oregano, low-grade flower that you probably smoked in high school to the most insane, near 100% THC concentrates that are sold at the top shelves of Cali dispensaries. Additionally, with the help of science and medical studies, we'll be categorizing each type of cannabis in the spectrum of entertainment, medical, creativity, and just plain old unhealthy. The objective of this video is to educate the public about the positives and negatives of weed in an entertaining way, but to do that, it is essential we discover how extremely varying different types of marijuana can be and why generalizing it as weed is good or weed is bad is just plain impossible. So without further ado, let's get into the weakest type of za there is, and that is low percentage THC flower and or CBD dominant strains. Okay, so I went into this video presuming you already know what THC and CBD is, but in case you don't, let's quickly summarize. THC is the chemical compound found in cannabis that makes you when the Family Guy becomes so funny, aka the munchies, laughter, feelings of euphoria, and overall its psychoactive effects come from THC. And CBD is the compound that reduces anxiety and can potentially help against depression, although the latter isn't as conclusive. There's also 2 distinct types of cannabis unrelated to its THC percentage, called sativa and indica, with sativa providing more of an energetic mind high and indica leaning towards a relaxing body high. So when we are talking about low percentage THC flower, aka 1 to 6% THC with a high concentration of CBD, we are in the realms of medical marijuana, meaning this type of weed, besides pure CBD of course, is the least intoxicating and can be potentially helpful to people with varying mental health issues. Just always keep in mind, smoking anything is harmful for our lungs, and even though this type of cannabis can be considered medical, it really depends on the person, their psyche, and what issues they are experiencing. So now we know low percentage THC flower links to the medical side, but what about entertainment and creativity? Well, although this type of cannabis won't have you staring at your wall for further
30 minutes plotting your trip to the kitchen, it can, however, still give you a different perspective on things. Unrealistic feelings of euphoria and cartoonish thoughts probably won't occur, but that doesn't mean your creativity won't be affected at all. You might not come up with the next Rick and Morty while under the influence of this gas, but you could come up with creative solutions to pre-existing problems or give you a slightly different perspective on what you're doing. Coupled with the high concentration of CBD, which could help you feel more at ease and reduce possible anxiety that might have been attached to you before, this type of weed is best for beginners or people who could be trying to reduce their weed dependency without going straight up cold turkey. And that's why it lands itself in the far end of the medical spectrum, but not so much in the creativity and entertainment part of the fucking thing. Anyway, moving on, mid-grade THC flower, the mid-shelf gas. I won't go over this too long as it's quite similar to the previous one, but with slight differences. Mid-grade flower usually ranges between 10 to 20% THC with varying levels of CBD, which general rule of thumb is for medical use, go with the highest CBD percentage, and if you just want to get faded with your friends and play split-screen Minecraft, get the one with the highest THC. Just make sure it still has some CBD in it so you don't, well, green the fuck out. Why I say that is because contrary to popular belief, CBD and THC do not bind to the same receptors in our brains, but through various studies and my own personal experience, CBD in most cases can reduce the adverse effects caused by THC, aka freaking out, feelings of discomfort, spikes in anxiety, etc. That's why even if you're an experienced stoner, it's good to have some CBD oil or flower that can help you if you're getting those unwanted side effects from some high percentage THC cannabis. So this type of weed lends itself higher in creativity and entertainment, but a bit lower in terms of its medical benefits. Moving on, high percentage THC flower, aka premium bud. This is the point where we start leaning much further away from the medical side into the entertainment and creativity side. High-end flower usually ranges between 20 to 35% THC, and unfortunately most of this top shelf flower is engineered to have very little or sometimes nearly zero CBD, which is why I said that this is the point where we really start deviating away from the term medical cannabis. But you might be asking, why can't I just get my flower with both high CBD and THC, you stupid Well, let me explain. Cannabis plants can naturally express high levels of either THC or CBD, but rarely both. This is because THC and CBD are derived from the same precursor, CBGA. The plant's genetics determine which enzyme, THC synthase or CBD synthase, is more active. In high THC strains, the THC synthase enzyme dominates, converting most CBGA into THC, leaving little room for CBD production. To add to it, cannabis growers have traditionally bred plants to maximize THC levels because of its psychoactive effects, which are highly sought after in recreational markets. Over time, this selective breeding reduced the expression of CBD in high THC strains, as the two cannabinoids tend to work in an inverse relationship. So it's also unfortunately us, the consumers' fault that super high THC and low CBD percentage is the baseline for top shelf gas these days. With brands constantly trying to compete with each other and providing the most mind-boggling high possible, there isn't really a lot of demand for high percentage CBD flower that still gets you very high. People buying weed for recreational use usually only care about the get you very high part. But I'm not saying that there is absolutely no place for this type of weed in the medical world, but it is extremely situational. The same way as inviting a friend out to have a couple drinks and watch the game on a Saturday night to alleviate the stress and anxiety from a hard week of work, this high THC flower can be a fun night to blow off steam and take your mind off real world problems for a while because, well, this shit could have you so obliterated you'll be using 100% of your brain power on figuring out how to tie your shoe, bruh. AKA, this is imagination land. I'm kinda going off personal experience on this, but the artists and musicians I know seem to enjoy this type of cannabis the most, as it can completely block off the real world and enter you into this trance state where you are 100% focused on whatever you are doing.
But CBD, bro, doesn't that mean it helps with ADHD and anxiety?
In the moment it can, unless, well, you couldn't handle it and are instead rolled up in a ball on your couch focusing on defeating your demons. Anyway, multiple medical studies have shown that high concentration THC flower does not help against anxiety, depression, and ADHD at all. What it does instead is give you an escape from your ADHD, depression, or anxiety for a brief moment whilst under the influence, and even that doesn't come without a cost. As if you smoke too much of this high THC flower, or really any weed, you'll build up a dependency and in return feel even more distracted, have more anxiety, and increased levels of depression whilst not under the influence. AKA, if your friend claims to be smoking that top shelf Zaza for anything else than a fun time, he's either lying to you, himself, or he's just been smoking up for so long he doesn't even remember what it was like to be sober in the first place. So through everything we talked about, I'll have to place this type of cannabis right on the border of unhealthy and
and medical, with a very high level of creativity and entertainment. But now let's talk about our first non-farm-to-table cannabis, and that is hash, aka traditional concentrate. Hash, short for hashish, is one of the oldest cannabis concentrates made by collecting and compressing the trichomes, resin glands, of the cannabis plant. These trichomes contain the plant's cannabinoids and terpenes, making hash potent and flavorful. The potency varies heavily depending on the plant that was used to make it, but in general, they can range anywhere between 20 to 60% THC. The biggest difference that me and other smokers I've talked to have noticed is that the high from hash, although quite strong, is usually shorter. And because this stuff is concentrated, 1 gram of hash will almost always get you higher than 1 gram of flower. The good thing about hash is, although it is concentrated cannabis, it is still natural. Traditional methods of making hash do not use any chemicals or solvents. Instead, they rely on mechanical processes like rubbing, sifting, or using ice water to extract the resin. Because of the wide variety of potency, it's quite hard to place this on our spectrum, but I'm going to put it just a bit closer to the medical side than the high potency flower, and a bit less to the creative side due to its shorter duration, which can make entering that trance state I talked about a bit hard.
Other concentrates, 60 to 95% THC. Besides hash, there's like 10 different ways to get THC concentrate from the Zaza, some of which don't use solvents and some that do. If I were to go over every single one individually, this video would probably be like 30 minutes. And since there isn't really a huge difference in potency between them, I'll quickly summarize. Rosin, made by applying heat and pressure to cannabis flower, key for hash to extract resin. Live rosin, a solventless concentrate made from fresh frozen cannabis that's first turned into bubble hash and then pressed into rosin. Shatter or wax, extracted using butane or propane and then purged to remove residual solvents. Live resin, extracted from flash frozen cannabis using butane or propane, then purged. Diamonds, THC crystals. THC is crystallized using hydrocarbons and solvent-based processes. THC distillate, cannabinoids are extracted using solvents, aka ethanol or CO2, and then refined through distillation. Phew! And those are the most popular concentrates, which the most flavorful are usually live resin or rosin, as these retain the most terpenes. And the strongest concentrates are usually diamonds or THC distillate. But the reality is, unless you're like a super stoner, you probably won't be able to tell much of a difference between all of them, as every single concentrate is bound to get you absolutely bamboozled, unless you know, of course, you have an insane tolerance. The main takeaway from concentrated THC is that it builds up your Zaza tolerance very fast compared to regular bud because of its high potency and usually shorter duration, making you smoke up more often. Which is why I will be placing them closer to the unhealthy side, but also the entertainment side due to the mind-boggling high it gives. But now onto the strongest type of smokable weed there is, in my opinion, and that is infused flower, aka moonrock or sunrock, 50 to 80% THC. You might be asking yourself why infused flower is ranked higher than concentrates when the THC percentage is actually lower. Well, take it from me, as someone who has done both dabs, aka concentrate, and infused flower, the small difference in THC percentage really doesn't matter in this case. The reason for that is, unlike dabs or the Benjamin, which on average has a shorter duration than bud, infused flower gives you the insane kick of concentrate whilst also providing the longer effect of normal bud, which in my eyes makes this the most potent smokable weed on planet Earth, but feel free to have a war in the comments about it. I'll be reading every single one like oath. Placement on the spectrum will almost be the same as concentrate, but because you won't be smoking up as frequently and in return damaging your lungs a bit less, I'll put it just a bit closer to the medical side, but still definitely unhealthy. Now for the last type of Zaza that is in a league of its own, and that is of course edibles, infinite THC percentage. Why I rank Eddies as the strongest type of weed is quite simple. In the act of cooking cannabis, it turns into something different, something otherworldly, something psychedelic. If you watch some of my other videos, you'd know that I view super potent edibles as something entirely different than normal weed. I'd even go as far and compare them to mushrooms. And science has my back on this because when you digest THC in your liver, it turns into something far more potent, and return when you go to the cinema and watch Oppenheimer, you'll probably be overwhelmed and geeked the fuck out. Watch the video on the screen and you'll know exactly what I mean. Oh, and because you're not damaging your lungs in controlled doses, I'd say this is by far the healthiest way to consume cannabis, so far in medical, far in entertainment, but not so much creative because you'll most likely be immobilized. Thanks for watching.
Types of people you should never blaze with. If you've ever smoked with friends, you know being high with others can be a great time, and in a lot of ways much more fun than being high alone. But it can also be awful and cause anxiety if you're with the wrong group. So today we're gonna go over types of people you should never smoke up with, starting with the over-smoker. The over-smoker is someone who wants to hit that Benjamin way too much. Now don't get me wrong, I got nothing against a good old limit breaker sesh, but if you're the over-smoker, you never actually doing that. Cause your tolerance is so high, even if you grabbed a beehive-sized chunk of wax and dabbed the whole thing, you still stand there like, phew, I
think I feel something. Another reason I really don't like blazing with these dudes is because you can't ever really dive into a topic and enjoy the high, because every 10 minutes you hear that,
Hey, let's do another hit.
like, what you mean, dog? We just did 3 hits in 30 minutes. I'm halfway fused with the couch, and your homie is in the corner explaining how the government controls us with tap water. We don't need another hit, bro. One positive this guy has, I guess, though, is he is always equipped with a ridiculous amount of za. Dudes must get his shit from the same guy Gordon Ramsay was hitting up, because it's always some damn exotic. Even so, their vibe ain't really one I fuck with, so if you're this guy, I'ma respectfully advise you to maybe consider taking a tea break or some, cause their diff is a point where it's too much. Unlike the next guy, who doesn't even need any side to be annoying, and he is Mr. Paranoid. I think we've all gotten paranoid from the grass before, and that ain't nothing to be ashamed of, cause sometimes there really ain't nothing you can do. But the occasional paranoid episode ain't what this guy has. This dude, even before taking a rip, is talking about some, hey yo, you sure this ain't lace, right?
No, what? This is the same stuff as last time, bro.
Okay, that's good. Can you check if there's any cops around?
Bro, there's no cops. We're in the fucking woods.
Yeah, okay, but wait, before we smoke, let me check if this place is haunted.
Man, what is this guy on?
Like, bro, what do you mean haunted? This ain't Conjuring, bro. Why you always trying to set a negative vibe for everyone? But however much you assure my mans that no, it's okay, we're not about to be swatted on some Twitch streamer shit, his mind just can't seem to get over it. And worst part is, dude never tries to deal with his paranoid problems on his own. You can all be having a fun time talking about some GTA 6 leaks or something, and he'll just ruin it all with,
Hey, yo, guys. You hear that?
hear what?
Bro, I swear, I just heard someone walking outside.
So? It's a neighborhood. That's what people do.
Yeah, but the window's open. He could have saw us all high.
Yeah, but it ain't like you're gonna call the cops.
Cops? There's cops?
What? No, chill, man. There's no cops.
Nah, bruh. I think I'm greening out. I need some fresh air or something.
Bro just decides, yup, I'm greening out now. Like, no, your personality is just very insecure, and you should probably get that figured out before you take another smack dabbly do off that Benjamin. Anyway, this guy ain't no fun to blaze with, cause he's very prone to ruining the vibe, so avoid at all costs. But this next guy is more of a personal preference, so you might disagree with me, but for a guy I don't like getting high with is the grass NPC. I think we've all met one of these, whether you knew it at the time or not. This is the type of dude who lives, breathes, and of course, smokes grass. I mean, really, dudes physically can't talk about anything else for more than a minute, cause he has no goals or aspirations that stretch further than, I wanna get suited AF. Which, wanting to get suited ain't nothing bad. I mean, most of us here probably love bacon, but come on, bro, at some point you gotta think about your life, your future, or I don't know, just something else than grass. Why I personally don't like hanging with a dude like this is cause his stories always are so centered around how high he was. I mean, bro, I get it, you went to school high. Like, at some point after hearing about the 78th time of dudes being high in class, you start to notice that man's actually has nothing interesting to say except,
yeah, I was so gone when I was in math class. Yeah, bro, we went to the zoo and I was not on planet Earth.
like, bro, when are you ever on planet Earth? And I find it hard to believe this guy, cause if you blazing so much, do you even feel high anymore? Like, don't you just get used to the feeling and it becomes normal? Anyway, yeah, don't be this guy. He ain't making it past level 1 of life, for real. Unless he, like, starts his own dispensary or something. Then it could work out very nicely, actually. But the next type of dude on the list is the guy that wants to be taken way too serious. I don't know if you guys ever talked to someone like this, but I have a couple times, and it's annoying AF. You know how when you blaze, you tend to go on rants and halfway lose your train of thought and then just end up saying, ah shit, I don't know what I'm talking about. And everyone laughs and moves on? Well, this dude is incapable of doing that. Instead, he holds the conversation hostage with his ramblings about inflation, Biden, Oprah, and James Cameron. And if you start trying to move on and talk about something else, dude sits there not listening and then 3 minutes later hits everyone with the,
okay, so basically what I was trying to explain earlier was,
like, bro, we already moved on and we're all freaking baked. No one even remembers their last sentence. How you gonna start expanding on your thoughts from ages ago like the MCU or something? Worst part is, however much you try to politely show him to stop ranting, he never gets the signs and just keeps doing it. Best thing you can do is just not invite him to the sesh, and you don't have to feel like a dick about it either, cause I'm 100% sure he understands the signs, but just ignores him cause he thinks his thoughts are more important than whatever the group wants to talk about. But the next dude on the list has a bit of a different problem, and he is
Mr. I'm bored, I want to do something. Oh snap, the guy who is somehow always bored and wants to do something. Now don't get me wrong, I love high adventures and I'm always down to go on one, but only if there's actually something cool in mind. Yeah, this is something this dude and me don't have in common, cause this mofo just spams the sentence, I'm bored, let's go somewhere. Like bro, where somewhere? Say where. My man just assumes anywhere is better than where he is, and honestly that gets annoying fast cause it makes you all self-conscious about if you're bored or not. And honestly a lot of times you might be, but that's just life. The grass ain't a freaking happy pill. Sometimes you're gonna smoke up and still feel bored. But how is that gonna change if we go outside? It's not like we living in Skyrim, bro. However sad it may be, you ain't finna open the door and see a mysterious bearded man waiting for you with a scroll in his hand saying, adventurer, we need you. But hey, out of everybody on the list, I think this guy is the least bad, cause a lot of times the ZA makes mofos lazy AF, so it is good to have someone who can push the group into doing stuff. Just sometimes my man needs to chill out. Talking about, let's go to McDonald's, let's go to Burger King, let's go shh, let's just shut the fuck up. Okay. Although sometimes dude actually does have something in mind, which turns out to be pretty fun. So there ain't nothing bad with wanting to do something cool, just you don't have to parade the fact you're bored all the time. Cause just by saying that, everybody is gonna feel like that even more.
You know, back in the day, if you wanted to get high discreetly, sorry bro, but there was no way. I mean, you got the J, which stanks up everything. You got the bong, which although doesn't stank as much, where you gonna hide it? Imagine trying to sneak by your parents on some... What you doing dropping shit at a time like this, boy? Downstairs, I came down, I wanted a glass of water, yeah. Boy, you must be neurologically disabled if you think that'll excuse you from breaking some dusty-ass dollar store piece and spilling bong water all over my goddamn living room. No, it's... Here, take a smack of this shit. It'll get you proper, boy. Well, that sounds like a pretty fun... Anyway, point is, you're not gonna be hiding that shit for long. Only real option you had was the pipe. But bro, at that point, you sacrificing everything you got for one high. Like I swear, the pipe is the last way anybody in their right mind wants to get faded. Every time I hit it, it's like my lungs and throat revert back to factory settings. Like I ain't never inhaled anything besides O2 before. Basically, by smacking the pipe, you're hurting your lungs and throat to the point it kind of up the first 30 minutes of your high. And that's exactly why when the first Benjamin was invented by the scientists at Yodiland, it changed the game, bruh. Never before could you get obliterated on the go regardless of where you were or what you were doing. And thanks to that, getting high has become so damn easy, you got motherfuckers making obliteration their normal state. Never before could someone do anything even remotely sus and you could just assume they were fucking high. My man had sunglasses on for no reason, faded. Dude was staring somewhere for a bit too long, obliterated. Dude went to White Castle for a culinary experience. Well, that motherfucker's just weird. Goddamn cafeteria food. And you can forget about gas stations and fast food places. I mean, at this point, it's like damn near mandatory to be blasted on the job. And I got nothing against that, just since 90% of the time I find myself at 7-Eleven, I'm fried too, and the motherfucker that's supposed to be helping me is trying to scan my items with his damn iPhone. Nah, but for real, the pace that these fried motherfuckers work at is fine when your brain is running at the same low frequency, but if you're in a rush, it'll take damn near every ounce of mental strength you got to stop yourself from forcing a damn self-checkout.
Would you like a bag with that, sir?
Fuck no, here's the money, just give me my shit. But don't get me wrong, I got nothing against a good old Benjamin. There really ain't a better on-the-go, fast and easy way to get faded. Unfortunately, I didn't go to college and kinda cheated my way through high school too, so the 15 or so brain cells I was able to develop that keep me from losing and forgetting shit turned into, well, basically zero. And for that reason, I've already lost 2 of them. One of them slipped out my pocket while I was at the movies, and I'm pretty sure some teenagers stole it, cause after the film, when I was looking for it with my flashlight and shit, these motherfuckers were giggling in the back, looking at me like I was a damn circus clown. Coupled with the fact I was fried as fuck, I was fighting my tears. Dog. I just got robbed by some damn teens and I can't even do shit cause it was illegal to even bring it in there. Second one I lost in a very similar manner. As I was getting out my Uber going back home, my sweatpants did me dirty and flinged that fucker out as I was standing up. Took me 2 minutes to realize, and when I did, my Uber driver was probably already hitting that shit cause when I called him back to ask for it, he said,
let me check. It seems that you only left me a $1 tip. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
And that one hurt the most because that was the first pen I ever had and the one I used for my first Benjamin adventure, which my first time was, well, by far the highest I have ever been in my life. I'm talking freaky, I'm talking third person. Shit, it was the first time in years I truly greened the thaw out. For you see, normal weed or bud is just that, normal. So the strength of it is confined in the realms of reality, unless you know it, it's moon rock. Anyway, the biggest difference between smacking a pen versus, let's say, a J is that the pen doesn't have normal bud in it. It has concentrate, which if you're unaware like I was, is about 10 to 20 times stronger than bud. Knowing that, the best way to get faded off the pen is by just taking small rips to avoid getting sent into the goddamn shadow realm. For example, the YouTuber Damien Luck 925 is very well known for taking multiple blinkers, which is the biggest hit you can take, outside in social situations, most notably in random classrooms, like it's nothing. So me being at my USA Airbnb alone in the confines of my living room, thought to myself, okay, so it looks like the basic hit I should do at least is one blinker, but probably more. Yet what was waiting for me on the other side of Blinker City was something I was not prepared for. Something unholy. The voices. I'll never forget the horrible things they were whispering. They made me almost delete my YouTube channel. Anyway, it started with me ordering a 1 gram pen off of Weed Amazon, and it arrived the very next day in a beat up Cadillac with a delivery man who, from the looks of it, tests out every product he delivers just, you know, to make sure the quality is there. Yo, bro, you're here for the weed, right? You got the cash? Yeah, I ordered through your website, though. It should be paid for already. Yeah, I forgot I'd take online orders now, too. Anyway, here's the stuff, bro. I trust you. Hey, thanks, bro. Have a good one. You too, man.
Hello, Mr. Bro. We got a delivery for you from Weed Amazon that should be arriving in an hour or so. Will you be home then?
Wait, didn't I just...
I'm a gorilla in a fucking scoop. Gonna pull up to the zoo.
Oh, I better get out of here. So I went back to the crib, Benjamin in hand, and prepared myself to get faded. And obviously, I went for a blinker, my very first hit. But since I had never smacked a pen before, I inhaled it for about 4 seconds and stopped because it was so light on my throat, I thought it wasn't working, but it actually was. And from that 4-second puff, I was already quite bamboozled. But since I have this weird rule of every time I get new stuff, I break it in by doing a massive hit, I thought, well, fuck. I was supposed to do a blinker, and went for it again. I inhaled and inhaled for a good 8 to 10 seconds, but the thing just wouldn't fucking blink. It got to the point where there was tears coming from my eyes and my throat was begging me to stop, and it ended up like... I had made a grave mistake. I was so fucking high, I felt my soul leave my body. I was so high, I forgot I was even high. But it was just the beginning, cause over the next 10 minutes, I just kept on getting more faded, and the demons in my head kept on getting louder and louder. But if you know me, I kinda refused to green out, so I just kept on doing random shit like reading the ingredients list off my bag of M&Ms, reading the comments on my videos.
Change that dark blue. Do things has changed for real. Imagine helping another YouTuber.
Kill yourself. Was not doing good. I was keeping a strong facade, but inside there was a war going on. I was feeling like Naruto with the 9 tails, only instead of an all-powerful destructive force talking to me, I was just really fucking high. Anyway, so yeah, I was grading out, which hadn't happened to me in years, and I concluded that because the voice of reason was completely being outspoken by the voice of tweaking. The good news is though, the hype from the Benjamin doesn't last too long, and in about 1 to 2 hours, I had started coming down, but at that point, I was already crawled up in my bed, scrolling endlessly on my phone, until I finally reached a state where I felt good enough to come out of emergency mode and order some food and ate myself into a food coma. So I learned, well, firstly, that motherfucker Fulcrum is actually insane, or his tolerance is just something else, bro, and that the Benjamin is best enjoyed in puffs of 3 to 5 seconds and not blinkers. The 5 levels of being high. Now, I bet you've seen a couple videos on this topic, maybe even mine, but since almost a year has passed and my knowledge and understanding of the magic green plant has grown tremendously, I thought it's about time to make the ultimate, definitive, most precise levels of high tier list on planet Earth. And to make it even more fun, for every level, I'ma be getting more high to give an accurate representation of what the level feels and sounds like. So let's get it started with level 1. Microdosed. This is the level where you don't really feel anything per se, but you can tell something is different. You have a slight mood boost and your body might feel a bit more elevated. So like if your legs were sore, they'd probably be more sore now, but if you're lying on your bed, well, its comfortability is probably up about by 10 to 15%. Nothing crazy, but it is noticeable. This, however, isn't enough to give you the giggles, so that Amy Schumer comedy special will still leave you wondering if my vagina is actually comedy or just poorly done slapstick humor. And since I'm currently at this level, I can tell you it also has no negative side effects, so I can still do everything without worrying if I'm too high. Anyway, let's move on to the first exciting level, and that is level 2. I'm feeling it. So you're feeling it, eh? Well, me too. This is the level where that Amy Schumer special might actually forcefully steal a giggle or two from you, but not because it's actually funny, it's more like you're laughing at her rather than with her. Anyway, since you're now feeling it, you also might be feeling that movie a bit more, or that video game. Shit, you might be feeling your own jokes a bit more. Got you laughing at your own thoughts, fool. This is also the optimal high if you still got stuff to do. Well, to be honest, if you got stuff to do, probably better to not be high, but at this level, it's still definitely doable, just a bit more difficult. Another way to look at it is, this is the high the workers at Subway are usually on, although I have seen mofos way beyond this there too, but for the most part, this is optimal cause the loud hasn't got you moving slow-mo quite yet. As for me, I'm still able to read this script and pronounce my words just fine, so you probably can't even tell I'm high right now. But now it's time to get to the first level where a mofo can feel too high if he's not experienced. Level 3. Yeah, I'm pretty high. So here we are, pretty high. This is the point where, at least for me, doing anything besides leisurely activities is hard. Not impossible, nor undoable, but hard. If we take that Amy Schumer comedy special for reference again, as for some reason I like doing, it might just maybe have become funny, but you also realize you just high, so you turn it off and watch something else. Also, this is the first level where some thoughts might have become uncontrollable in the senses you just can't help but dive deeper into the fact that the bomb dropped on Hiroshima was almost 1,600 times less powerful than the Tsar bomb created and detonated by the Soviets in 1961 as a show of power to the US. But then you find out there's something called an antimatter bomb which could be even more destructive, but it's only a theory, but then maybe the US is developing it in Area 51 or something. Yeah, I think you get the point. But there is one sensation that is more powerful than your random thoughts, and that of course is the munchies. Coupled with the fact you're probably rocking some dry mouth right now, this in my opinion is the best level to be at if you're trying to stuff your face with enough trans fats to feed 50 hungry children. But you know, you already ate it also. Anyway, moving on to level 4. Faded beyond belief. This is the point where if you're not in a safe space, you kinda screwed. Well, not always, but at this level, it's become almost impossible to practice rational thinking. I mean, if you were diving deeper into that nuclear bomb stuff at the previous level, then this is a point where you might start actually believing you are Oppenheimer himself. This stage is really not the best if you're looking to focus on a movie or video game or really anything because, well, your attention span is at the mercy of the za, and to actually enjoy this high, you just gotta go with the flow. As for me, it's getting pretty hard to read the script. If I look at the words for long enough, they kinda look like some ancient Chinese hieroglyphs. But anyway, if you're an actual lunatic, maniac, psychopath, Zaza destroyer, and considering hitting that gravity one more time, then be prepared for level 5. Shadow Realm. I told you, bro, you gotta be a maniac to get to this level because the plane of existence you on now is so different from being non-high, you probably feeling and looking like a goddamn alien. I mean, bro, your eyes are so red and you feel so disconnected from your body that if you look in the mirror, you'll probably think, bro, is that really me? I'm so fucked up. Wait. Ah, shit, I'm in the Shadow Realm again, aren't I? And now that you realize you're in the Shadow Realm, you either stop the trip by going to sleep or level unknown, exploring the Shadow Realm. This level doesn't require smoking more. All it really requires you to do is just go outside and explore the world that in many ways has become the upside down from Stranger Things. Cause at this level, rational thinking has been completely thrown out the window and your brain has reverted to factory settings as of when you were just born. So if you see a streetlight flickering, for example, if you were normal, you just think, they really should fix that. Compared to now,
Oh shit, bro. This is totally one of those slasher scenes where once I walk over the street light, he's gonna shift me up, isn't he? Nah, man, fuck this. I'm out of here.
At least, I don't know, that's how it feels to me when I achieve the pinnacle of high and am wandering the world outside. Types of plugs you will encounter. This topic is very near and dear to my heart, because unfortunately to this day, I still have to rely on these guys for my Zaza. So you can imagine after years of experience of buying from tens of different plugs, I'm quite certain I have dealt with every kind there is, from the most vicious acting as gangsta as humanly possible thugs, to the high school dudes who just want to fund their Zaza addiction by selling it. And I think it's appropriate to start off with the type of plug I bought from my very first time. And he was the friend who knows a guy who knows a guy who has that exotic. This one isn't really officially a plug per se, but then again, I'm willing to bet this was how most people first encountered any type of Zaza seller. Every time when you and your friends discussed the grass and wanting to try it, he always said something like,
yeah man, if you really want some, I got a few connects and they always sell that exotic.
But in reality, dude's connects were usually his older brother or friend who actually knew someone. So for me, the times I did acquire the grass through this man, that shit was always some Reggie for real. And not just that, it always had a massive markup, cause who else can you sell oregano mixed mid-za for premium price than a bunch of stupid youngsters? But I can't fault the homie too much, cause back then, man, I swear, you could smell some grass and get faded, so everything seemed exotic, even if it was mostly herbs and spices bought at the discount aisle at Walmart. But even so, I ain't mad, cause that's the nature of business, I guess. If a dude is willing to buy your oregano pack for $30, then so be it. You gotta learn from it and move on. And so I did, and found myself a new plug, who was
yeah bro, that's an eighth. It's just like super compact. You know, like a diamond.
The dude who always shorts you. A plug like this never has any longevity, cause I mean, after being shorted 1 or 2 times max, however much you crave the za, usually your self-respect won't allow you to go back to man's like. So, you got the eighth?
Yeah, of course, dog. I'm gonna hook you up nicely this time. This some good shit.
Nice. Show me the bag real quick, though.
Gotcha, big dog. Here it is. Where is it?
Oh, wait, hold up, my bad. You need this to see it.
Okay.
Do you see it now? It's like super compact. You know, like a diamond.
Yeah, like a diamond, right? Yeah, okay. But, I'm gonna have to skip this one. I don't really even want any za right now.
Alright, bro. You're a loss. Get the fuck out of my car.
You don't want no smoke, don't want no jazz.
These the plugs who exclusively sell to stupid kids, cause anybody with any understanding of how 1 gram of za should look like would just tell him to F off and remove him on Snapchat. But this guy also abuses his status of the plug to provoke fear into dudes who don't yet know any better and think these guys are all freaking mafia level gangsters who, if you disagree with them, finna pull a Scarface and take out a M249 and start going bananas. But don't feel too bad if you've fallen for this scam before, cause I have too. In fact, I had a friend who was supposed to get 1 gram, but the plug gave him 0.1, and my man still bought it. Mostly cause he didn't even know how much a gram is supposed to look like, so he just trusted him. Anyway, next type on the list is the complete opposite, and one of my favorites, and he is the always faded plug. This guy could also be called the plug who only sells to fund his copious amount of Zaza consuming on a daily basis. And why he is one of my favorites is for multiple reasons. Firstly, because he is the king of getting high off his own supply, he always has a comment on the stuff you're getting. Secondly, because mans is faded 24/7, he don't really want any confrontation, so he'll probably never short you. In fact, sometimes out of the warmth of his heart, he'll throw some extra in there, depending if he likes you as a customer or not. And lastly, because he has evolved to a point where being high is his normal state, which don't ever get that far. It's not good for your health, and it can and will ruin your life no matter how much you hear Zaza isn't addictive. It can be if you take it too far. But anyway, because of the fact he cannot live without the magic ring plant in his system, in my experience, he has always had a 100% success rate to the text, "Hey yo, you got any?" That meaning, mans is more reliable than a Volvo, mans is more dependable than James Bond, mans is more loyal than a golden retriever, goddamn! The only problem, well, problem for you, the customer, is he is usually pretty on and off on the plug-in business, because if you can get that addicted to za, it's usually a personality trait, so knowing that, this guy either smokes every day 24/7, or he is completely grass-free. And when he is grass-free, he disappears like the Avatar.
So yeah. But now on to the next plug on the list, and he is the plug who should have probably started an actual business instead. This plug is quite rare, and I've only ever met one of these mofos, but oh boy, what a roller coaster ride it was. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was looking for some grass, so I hit up my usual plug, only for him to inform me he is, quote, out of the game, but will give me the Snapchat of a guy who is, quote, new to the game. And so he did. And after writing mans asking for some grass, he told me to meet up near a construction store. And since this was a while ago, I ain't have my license yet, so I ran me an e-scooter and rolled up. And the person who greeted me was none other than Mr. Invisible. Yeah, no, that was like his actual Snapchat username. Anyway, it was the short guy who kinda looked like a goblin, but he seemed quite serious and was the first plug ever to write me afterwards asking, how was the stuff? And after replying, he also gave me a freaking affiliate program. Not for real. He told me every friend I link him up with, he will give me $20 if they ever buy from him. I ended up not doing that cause it kinda seemed ridiculous. Like, bro, you sell grass, not fucking VPN subscriptions. But over the next 6 months, I would see this man build a Snapchat grass cartel. Dudes was posting stories every day of his illegal activities like he had the cops under his payroll or something. And funniest part was, over the 6 months that I acquired the grass from him, I saw how his $10 camo pants and $15 Shane jacket turned into Gucci pants and an Armani jacket. Like, goddamn! Bro was really trying to be the local Scarface, and dudes even had mofos working for him. Like, sometimes I'd write him and he'd literally reply, come here, I'll get an employee to bring it to you. Employee? Bro was acting like he Mr. Krabs, sending SpongeBob to secure the secret formula. But unfortunately, his plugging career ended in about 6 months, where he sent us off with a heartwarming goodbye on his Snapchat story reading, greetings, my beloved customers. I am informing you all that I will unfortunately no longer be your plug, as I am moving on. It was great while it lasted, and I wish you all the best. As for the Zaza, I mentioned 3 people in this story who will fill my shoes in this field. Stay cool. Peace out. And the craziest part is, I'm not making any of this up. This dude was a legit comedy movie character, and his personality reflected it. He was like the generic Slav trapper guy who tried his hardest to act as gangsta as humanly possible, and every sentence man said had to have at least 2 curse words. So yeah, although he is the most memorable plug I've ever had, he definitely wasn't my favorite. That spot has to go to the friendly neighborhood plug. The best plug a man can ask for. This would be the dude that lives close to your neighborhood, so you don't have to travel around the whole of Skyrim just to get some za. But if that wasn't enough, this the plug that also, as the name suggests, is friendly and doesn't act all gangsta, nor shorts you for no reason, nor is high 24/7. He's just a chill, reliable guy. And sometimes he'll even come to you, cause you live in the same neighborhood and he enjoys riding his bike while flipping packs and making racks. And unfortunately, however much this dude is just a normal human being, in the field of plugs, well, he's like a diamond. Very rare. So if you got yourself a plug like this, be thankful for your blessings, cause your next one is probably gonna be the usual local wannabe Pablo Escobar. But hey, plugs usually switch like every 4 months anyway, so don't be discouraged when yours is, well, weird. 10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny looking green plant, and either out of curiosity or desperation took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today, because as we know, over the years the za has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting faded in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which, after saying that, you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you?
Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me.
But alas, this probably wasn't the reality, because the THC levels in this early cultivated Zaza were just really low, but soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day,
today, if you were having a long-distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after when mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Shen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to Za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to get faded? Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago, when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind so you could communicate with spirits. Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass that gets you to the spirit realm. This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead gran-gran, that's when you really might be like, okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit. Since cannabis, for one reason or another, proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans, who preferred getting hammered instead. Which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18, you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want to blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now, let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called Bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this Bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him in my eyes the god of edibles.
Disclaimer, that was a joke.
Islam. Here the Za was called hashish and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the Za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain, and to date, there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but you know, maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who are already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US, via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the Za to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine.
But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what likely sparked a comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youth start blazing too. Which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say,
"It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too."
Anyway, although the grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much, cause in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies though were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican wheat plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot, all while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed on a regular basis. Even worse, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule I drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the Za even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE. Man, smoking too much is such an awkward thing, especially because of how normalized getting faded has become. Nobody wants to be the guy who kills the vibe by admitting they graining the thaw out. Like, dudes be knowing they approaching their limit, but peer pressure is a bitch. Like this one time in school when we were smacking the paper planejamin on lunch break, and I could tell everybody was nearing the border between Yodiland and the Upside Down, but this motherfucker Salamander just kept on passing the J, and nobody wanted to be the first one to back out. Everyone kept on puffing and puffing until this one motherfucker just started puking. Like, goddamn. Safe to say, dude probably hasn't smoked again till this day. But you know, that was high school. Most kids weren't on that Wiz Khalifa pack like Salamander. I mean, this dude's parents were barely home, so mans must have just been low-key looking for attention by acting out, but instead all he got was Snoop Dogg's tolerance and all the school thotties daily driving his dick. Some of you might not even know what it feels like when you smoke too much though. Shit, I know I didn't. My dumbass always just concluded that the stuff was laced, which looking back at it now makes me feel like a dinglebop for real. I mean, how you gonna smoke way more than you usually do in a situation you're not super comfortable in and then blame it on the weed? It's like a drunk driver suing an alcohol brand for making him unable to drive straight. Shit, it's like going to the store and buying too much food and then blaming the cashier for not stopping you. Like, bro, it's not on Jimmy the Plug God. Dude is probably smoking the same stuff as we speak.
feet. And yeah, I know sometimes it could actually be laced, but what does telling yourself that help? Like, wouldn't it be better to believe it's not and your brain is just tweaking? Then you could maybe, you know, calm yourself down. Unlike when you've convinced yourself the plug is a fucking supervillain going around giving his customers schizophrenia. Like, goddamn, son, someone's gotta like the bat signal for real. But shit, I'm out here preaching like I ain't done this myself. Back when I was younger, I did green out a couple times, but since then, I have developed rules I follow to avoid this at all costs. Like, for example, first rule, you don't always gotta get obliviated, bruh. Seems simple enough, right? But back in the day, every time we were smoking, my dumbass felt like I had to get higher than last time. Once the J reached me, I just...
Thanks, bro. You guys got another one?
Bro. No. There's just some basic etiquette too, like everybody wanna get faded equally, but one thing with smokers is they're usually always chill and peaceful, so when you start hogging a spliff, rarely is somebody gonna forcefully take that shit from you. Just next time when you pull up, they'll bag your ass, pistol whip you, throw you in the trunk, and bury you alive next to Mr. Beast. That video would probably have to be on Rumble though. But point is, you don't always gotta be the highest in the room. Second rule, accept your limits. This is low-key the most important and the most difficult, but you might be thinking something like, don't you mean know your limits? No, I don't, bro. Cause I bet most y'all know them. Just when you'll be watching Fulcrum smacking the Benjamin like that bitch be only containing O2, you get a false understanding on how much mofos be actually smoking. Cause you can always do more, but what you can't do is forcefully remove the THC from your system and get less high. So don't be a victim of peer pressure just cause you wanna be cool, fool. But these rules don't mean shit if you don't factor in where you are and what you're doing. Which leads me to the day that made me come up with these rules. The time in my young life when I smoked so much in the wrong place, I was goddamn obliviated. Shit, I smoked so much I had less dialogue options than an Oblivion NPC. The first time I got high outside the comfort of me or a friend's crib, it was the usual business. We were chilling with the gremlins, me, Salamander, and Ricky, smoking up, talking about how we don't fall with school and how we finna make it out the hood. You know, the usual Gen Z shit. When Salamander, being the thotty magnet he was, got a text from one of his female companions inviting to what this motherfucker claimed to be a chill hangout spot. Although I do trust the homies, knowing Salamander's track record, I was a bit sus, cause I seen the places this dude hangs out at. I'll be waking up at the middle of the night to take a piss, then check the snap only to see dudes partying at some straight up trap house bugging off fucking ketamine. Okay, can't say that on YouTube, but let's just say it wasn't weed. Anyway, you know the drill. I don't wanna go, Salamander uses his 99 speech, convinces Ricky, now it's a 2v1, and I fold. Epic victory royale. But I agreed only under the condition that none of us drink nor do anything else but smoke the Lord's loud, because it was a motherfucking Thursday after all, so I wasn't trying to pull up to school smelling like a bum, acting like a depressed middle-aged man from The Hangover. Looking back at it though, that was probably the wrong call, cause, well, you'll see. So we're walking to the crib and Salamander lights up this comically big J that he rolled back at his place with a week supply. While we're almost finished puffing and on the edge of obliviation, I see this super dope house that seems to be having a party, so I excitedly asked Salamander,
Yo, is that the spot? Bro, okay, that place does seem pretty dope.
oh yeah, that's the spot. Glad you fought with it. Some people are kinda put off by it from the initial appearance. Anyway, let's just go in.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. You first though. Where are you going?
What do you mean? The crib, bro. Leave it to Salamander to have you walk through an amazing street filled with beautiful houses and lead you to the only one that looks like Shrek's vacation home. To add to it, me and Ricky were quite frankly bugging. But as I mentioned in the previous rules, that's not always a good thing, especially when you're preparing to go into a house where your brain has calculated a 50-50 chance of being stabbed in the gut by a freaking tweaker with a kitchen knife. In my head, I was thinking, well, hoping for the saying, don't judge a book by its cover to be the case here. But oh boy, I should have judged the goddamn book by its cover and dashed off like Prime Usain Bolt. Cause what we were dealing with was in every sense of the word except not containing any of the actual substance, I think, a crack house. These people were blasting some of the most disgusting music I've ever heard. Shit sounding like the noise a speaker makes when you fiddle with the aux cord. And because I was high, that set the whole tone of my experience there. And shit, I did not know Salamander hanged out with vampires. Most of the dudes there were looking what you would imagine the local bum to be when he was young. I was in total shock. My teenage brain could not comprehend the degeneracy, the idiocy, the overall lack of humanity in that house. And it's not like I didn't try to have fun, but our highness did not mix with whatever the the fuck these guys were on. At some point, I saw him pull out a vodka bottle, and they drank the whole thing in 5 minutes dry, straight from the bottle, like they were trying to speedrun liver failure. I attempted to conversate with some of them, but to no avail. I mean, what did I expect though? A drunk person usually isn't on the same wavelength as a high person, combined with the fact these dudes probably just got done sacrificing a goat to bring forth the Antichrist. I was starting to tweak the fuck out. Well, not tweak, I guess. Me and Ricky did have some fun by just bantering about how messed up of a place we had found ourselves in. All of this didn't seem to affect Salamander though, as we spotted him rizzing up a girl we assumed was the one that invited him, but we were wrong in that assessment because 5 minutes later, the girl who actually invited him saw it, went up to him, yelled at him, and then slapped that man so hard it made him rethink his whole damn life. Cause as we were laughing at what had happened, he walked straight towards us and said, "Man,
you guys want to do some ketamine?"
Nah, he actually told us that this was probably a bad idea and that he's ready to leave if we are. Good thing too, cause if that girl hadn't slapped some sense into him, Salamander might have gone on to do the thing I mentioned like 3 times in this video. So anyway, we went back home at like 2 AM or something, put on some WWE on the TV, prepared to gleep, and got obliviated. Doesn't go much further than that.
Shout out to Volker.
Mushrooms are a lot like that one friend who is always talking and it kind of annoys you, but at the same time you love him cause you know he's always keeping it real with you. So if you are fiending for a third eye awakening on some Dragon Ball Super shit, you better be ready for the shrooms to take you through the depths of your unconscious, where it will dig out and highlight questions about your very fabric of existence, like, who am I? Why are we here? Do I like men? But anyway, that doesn't happen the very instant you eat the shrooms. In fact, the stages of a mushroom trip are so different, each one of them could be considered a substance of their own. But the first stage everyone experiences is Stage 1, Ingestion/come up. Right after consuming those Mario power-ups, you might feel your stomach twist and turn a bit, as your body is signaling to you, this shit was not food, wasn't it? But thankfully, it's usually pretty minor and goes away after a few minutes. While waiting for the shrooms to kick, you probably stare at a bunch of random objects hoping to find some type of moving pattern, cause that's what shrooms are supposed to do, right? Well, yeah, kind of, but after 30 minutes goes by and you're still staring at the wall with no sign of visual hallucinations, you probably think to yourself, man, I got scammed, didn't I? But then you start really thinking about it. Are you feeling something? And then you think about the next thing, and the next thing, and then you might laugh at something completely random like this picture of SpongeBob, and boom, you now realize they weren't duds, and you're about to go on a journey, bro. Also, after all this, you probably move on to Stage 2, Questions that lead to more questions. You're at the point now where you know the shroom's kicking, but you don't really see any visuals except for maybe the increased significance of every object, but the main thing is you have started questioning everything you know, but not in a scary way of
nothing matters, there is no point.
More of a, man, I love hanging out with Charlie. Wait, do I though? What type of person is he actually? He's friendly, but kinda secretive and keeps to himself. What is he keeping to himself? Could he be a totally different person? Am I becoming a better person by hanging out with him?
What is going on?
So yeah, this stage can be very eye-opening to some, especially if you're the type of person to hang on to problems and worries instead of facing them. Because however hard you try not to think about something, the shrooms won't let you. And although it might seem like that's a bad thing, it's actually not. And you should treat this time of the trip to pinpoint the main questions you would like to receive some type of answers to by the end. Because soon after, you're gonna go to Stage 3. Holy shit! The mushrooms are now almost at full effect, and you're definitely seeing some hallucinations, like moving patterns, disfigured items, wavy hands, etc. But to be honest, that isn't really the main thing, because if you approach this trip with the right mindset, as in you wanted to actually take something with you to the real world afterwards, then currently you are most likely intensely trying to piece together the answers to the questions you highlighted on the previous stage. But it ain't as easy as it seems. It feels like you were constantly on a breakthrough to something really important and significant, but then you lose it and have to start again with the pieces you left off with. But if you stick with it, you'll always figure something out. Maybe not the full picture, but something. Also, you shouldn't blame yourself if you start talking or thinking about something that you feel is very amazing, but then halfway through realize you literally pondering about the implications of the evolution of the Pringles Man logo, bruh.
But not to worry, that's the beauty of shrooms. They make you think about everything on a deeper level, and if you can find the correct things to think about through the clutter of Matrix conspiracy theories, you'll still emerge victorious. Speaking about emerging, the next stage is Stage 4. The slow come down. You are now slowly coming down from the shrooms, which is indicated by the fact you don't see as many trippy patterns anymore, but also you're more realistic in your thoughts as well. Also, at this point, you probably aren't bouncing from thought to thought as much anymore and have chosen a definitive couple of things to think about. And with those things, you will find answers, but also a lot of new questions, which can be frustrating, well, until you get to the next and final stage. Stage 5. Journey complete. At this point, you have almost completely came down from the magic, but not really, because although you don't see any hallucinations anymore, you feel more in touch with reality and yourself. The best way I can describe this stage is like it's the fruit of your labor. This is the stage where you've gone through the constant questions and search for answers and come out victorious. Best way I can describe it is like you're high off some Zaza, but with a much clearer head. So this is the perfect time to play some video games, watch a movie, or do really anything you find fun.
Edibles, part of the holy trinity when it comes to getting as faded as humanly possible. And the reason they are so potent is that in the act of cooking the za, the THC transforms into something beyond its normal powers and becomes Super Saiyan za, or 11-hydroxy-THC. But let's stick to Super Saiyan cause that other name isn't really cool. Anyway, if you're an OG subscriber, you know my first time doing edibles was quite a crazy experience, but I wouldn't call it anything else than, yeah, I was really freaking high. But this time, the abominations we made were no mere first-timer dose. We threw everything we had in there. The day started like any other, except I had just gotten back from Barcelona the previous night and was a bit tired. But you see, there was this really cool movie in the cinema called Oppenheimer. Anyway, me and Rizix had planned to watch Oppenheimer in the cinema sometime before August, but being us, we obviously wanted to be baked during this time, and well, the movie was 3 hours long, so just a quick hit wasn't gonna cut it. So we decided on something we hadn't done in years, that obviously being edibles. The only problem was, we don't know how to manage time, and well, once we started actually making the things, the movie had already begun, but although I do love Cillian Murphy, let's be honest, the main part of this journey was the edibles. Not Oppenheimer. So we were like, screw it, we only gonna miss like the first 30 minutes. Which if we had actually read some reviews on the movie, we would have known it's not something you go to 30 minutes late while bugging up the Zaza and the world's strongest edible. Yeah, we also, just for safe measures, smoked a bit before too. But anyway, once we made our abominations and the whole house was smelling like Snoop Dogg's beard, we sat down to eat these deep fried to get you deeply fried cookies. Ready? Ready. Bruh, they're so dry, man. Yeah, so they were awful in the taste department, but in the how messed up they gonna get you apartment, well, you'll find out soon enough. As I said earlier, just for safety, in case they were duds, we also smoked up a bit before, and we're feeling like medium-sized, cooled on the kitchen counter pizza rolls, even before the cookies hit. As we arrived in the cinema, we were, well, a little bit scared, but also excited to find out what these monstrous things were going to do to us, because, well, we hadn't done edibles in ages, and knew our tolerance towards them was zero. After buying popcorn and a medium drink, we walked in the cinema, took our seats, and sat down to watch the movie, which had been going on for 40 minutes at that point, but we thought we could still enjoy it, and we did until... Bro, I could not stop laughing, and that's when I knew the edibles had hit. Now, up until this point, I considered myself a man of pure willpower and mental fortitude, and that there's no way some green plant was gonna get me bugging. And for the first 30 minutes after feeling them hit, it was true, until I got the ultimate disability the Za can curse you with. I'm talking, of course, about manual breathing. I was sat in that cinema like a full-on tweaker, and bro, it did not feel good. Like, however hard I tried to destroy the Super Saiyan Saw with my mind, I just couldn't. And RizX was low-key tweaking too. Plus the movie, well, it was kinda shit. And before you roast me in the comments, I think Oppenheimer is a great movie. Just arriving 40 minutes late and bugging off Super Saiyan Za wasn't the best idea for a story-focused film. So we decided to get the fuck out of there. And bro, I don't even know how to describe what I felt and saw once we opened the gates to the outside world. Bro, I was feeling like my senses were turned up to 10,000% overdrive. And bro, I'ma be honest, I was not seeing straight. So although we drove to the cinema, we were in no shape to drive back, so we just started paddling our demon eyes looking butts home. Until at some point, we found some e-scooters, so we rented those and just started blasting away. And what an amazing time that was. Like every switch of scenery felt like a brand new biome. Like at some point, we took a little detour through a park and bro, we felt like we was in a damn jungle. Like even the slight rumble and turbulence we got from the road made it feel like we were true explorers on not e-scooters, but one of those safari exploring buggies riding through unexplored wildland. But anyway, once we got back home, I decided to look in the mirror to see if I looked as high as I felt. And well, I looked more high. Like I didn't even know your eyes can get that red, but there they were, looking like the eyes of the damn devil himself. Speaking of getting high AF, we doing a smoke sesh on the Discord on Sunday where it's mine and your job to get absolutely bedazzled and just chill the fuck out. Anyway, link for the disc will be in the pinned comment, so make sure you join and pull up on the sesh. Anyway, back to me looking in the mirror. As I looked in the mirror and saw nothing but an empty vessel wandering the wrong plane of existence staring back, I got a bit frightened, cause man I swear, my reflection was not moving in sync with me yet again. But this time it was even worse, cause I was like 4 times higher than I was when I first did edibles. So what happened next, you might be wondering? I was bugging out, looking like an uncooked steak, and I couldn't focus on anything longer than 1 second. Well, I went to sleep. Cause one good thing I will say about the trip, the comfortability I felt in my bed was unlike anything I've ever felt before. My blanket was just a perfect temperature, my mattress the perfect fit, and my pillow the perfect place to lay your head. And because of that, and I'm not exaggerating on this, the very second I closed my eyes, I was asleep. Well, not like deep sleep, but nap sleep. Anyway, after closing my eyes, in about 3 minutes, I was completely knocked out. And well, I slept so much like a baby, I actually believe the Za manipulated my very core and reverted my cells and body shape to that of when I was 3 months old, to enable me to get the full experience of sleeping like a baby. Only problem was though, as I woke up like literally 10 hours later, I was still high AF. Not like can't see straight high, but like just hit the BONG high. To be honest, I was just amazed, cause I knew if we had smoked that amount of Za we put in the cookies, we might have been really lit, but nothing like we were from the cookies. And after that day, I have now learned my lesson that actual strong edibles are more comparable to mushrooms than normal bud. Have you ever met someone who parades the fact that he loves the Zaza, and if you ever say anything bad about it, he gets all defensive and starts frantically arguing about how it's good for you? Like, yeah bro, there are health benefits, but if you're out here doing 8 rips, 4 2 edibles, and half a cart every 12 hours, do you really think you're reaping the health benefits of the Za? Mofo beyond about, it helps with my anxiety and depression. Like bro, what are you anxious about? Worried that the pizza delivery guy might be an assassin? Sounds more like paranoia to me. And have you stopped to think that maybe the depression you're feeling could be because all you does is sit around, eat pizzas, smoke grass, and watch Disney Plus? But people like this aren't the majority, and overall, when you meet a fellow grass eater, you can expect him to be just a normal chill dude who uses the Za to enhance his experiences, rather than rely on it for them. So today, I thought I'd go over some of the coolest dudes I've encountered who consume that lettuce, starting with the Za athlete. This is the guy who's always in the gym grinding to become the ultimate specimen of human movement. The thing that's great about this dude is that although he loves the grass, which is generally considered a lazy substance, he doesn't let that stereotype stop him from enjoying it. Although many of his athlete friends might hold it against him, calling him a crackhead, he knows that it's all about moderation and using the Za to enhance his recovery and free time experiences. But the best part about a dude like this is that you know he is a solid guy, that you don't have to worry about leading you down a bad road, cause he is always mindful of where the breaking point between just having a fun time with the homies and
Hey bros, wanna do some meth?
Is. So if you're friends with this guy, you can be damn sure he won't ever peer pressure you into doing something stupid. In fact, he'll probably be the one who will try to talk you out of something like that. Plus, you know, depending on the athlete, he might make the NBA, so best to stay on his good side if you ever want to blaze up in a LA mansion with Wiz Khalifa and Drake and shit. But on to the next dude on the list, the high gamer. I'm not sure how you guys feel about video games, but I've always seen the genre as the highest form of at-home entertainment there is. Although it is a lot harder to truly get into a game nowadays, when you do, the peaks of fun are much higher than watching a Netflix show, for example. Although that's just my opinion and yours might obviously be different. So you better believe it when I say I love dudes who enjoy gaming in orbit, because that's something that two Zai enjoyers can truly bond over. Now you might be thinking,
everybody enjoys playing games. Ain't nothing special about it.
I'd have to respectfully disagree, because it takes a certain level of power to really sit down well blasted and focused on a video game, cause honestly, most of the time it ends up going something like this.
Finally time to play some Elden Ring while blasted. This is about to be crazy fun.
20 minutes later.
Man, screw this, I'm gonna just watch some TikToks. As you can see, it's not that easy, but if you have a friend who's on the same planet as you and you going through the struggle together in a co-op game, it's much easier to get into. So I for one will always have a special place in my heart for dudes who can actually game well blasted, cause honestly, it's not as easy as you might think, especially if the session lasts over 1 hour. But time for the productive and successful Not gonna lie, these dudes are like a rare Pokemon that you might never come across because the requirements to be a dude like this are rather high, but the power he possesses is godly. This the dude that has his own business or works like a sales job or something, which is a highly social and time-consuming practice. But somehow this mofo has done all of this while frequently bugging off the Zaza. He's kinda like the Wolf of Wall Street, but instead of doing lines off a lady's you know what I mean. He's out here taking a fat rip and then minutes later closing a massive deal with some company. I met a guy like this only once, and I won't stand here and act like I was not in awe of this man's power. We were all just chillin', faded AF, when this guy got a phone call, and not just any phone call, it was some company he was trying to make a client for the company he worked for. And me being me, all I could think of was, oh shit, dude must be freaking out being that faded, having to deal with something like that. But no, bro calmly told us he'll be back in like 10 minutes, went to the other room and closed the deal, or at least that's what it seemed like. I swear, some people just have a godlike stress tolerance, cause man, I can be out here faded and get a call from my mom to pick up some groceries, and that shit will have me stressing out if it wasn't in my initial plan. I guess what I'm trying to say is, for 95% of people, if you high every day, you're gonna get lazy and content with your position in life. But there are people who can manage to pull off this lifestyle and still be successful, and god damn do I respect that. Although I'd imagine that if they weren't high all the time, they'd be even more successful. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, next guy on the list is the artsy dude. Now, this guy isn't exactly what you're thinking. And yes, I know you're imagining this painter who's always on about, bruh, you just gotta go with the flow. Let yourself be free and you'll find peace. Sorry, but what the fuck does that even mean? Although these guys can be cool, their gimmick gets old pretty quick. The dude I like is more of just a Chad who has a highly functioning imagination. Cause with a guy like this, you always have something to talk about, and they come up with some of the most interesting things. Plus, they're usually not just some hippie dude who enjoys saying shit that makes no sense and expects everybody to think he's deep cause he saw a quote on TikTok and it really resonated with him. He's more of the dude who'll say some master Oogway quote and explain how that funny meme actually says something deep about life, but then ended with, I don't actually know, I might just be too high. And I love that, cause sometimes a mofo is just too high and sees a deeper meaning in something that doesn't have one. But hey, that's just a theory, a high theory. I don't know about you, but when I meet a new person and he or she says that he enjoys getting high, I instantly think to myself, this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Although that can be the case, it's not always, cause even though the excitement of finding a fellow saw enthusiast is great in a world where some mofos still think it's worse than things like alcohol, sleeping pills, all nicotine and other shit that you can straight up buy from a supermarket. In reality, when you really think about it, it's kinda dumb, cause if it was anything else, would you feel the same? Like, if you were at a club and someone said they like drinking, you wouldn't think, oh my god, this guy gets it. Unless, you know, you're an alcoholic, I guess. But anyway, today I made a great list of people I've encountered who smoke the Zaza, but I wouldn't personally enjoy hanging out with. Starting with a well-known one, the dude who makes the grass his whole personality. Nah, bruh, I can't stand dudes like this. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a bit of Zaza as much as the next guy, but bro, there's so many other things to talk about and do. The problem with these types of people is that I feel like they've missed the whole point of it all. Cause in my opinion, it's not all about how high you were, it's more about where you were high. Damn, that's deep. Like, I'd rather hang out with a dude who has never been high in his life, but has interesting stories / experiences and doesn't just talk about, yeah bro, I was so damn high last night, I was on planet Venus. Damn, that's crazy. So where were you at? What you mean? Like, where were you and what were you doing, you know? It must be a crazy story. Nah, I mean, I was just at home on my bed, you know, eating Doritos and stuff. So you were just high in your room all day? Yeah, I mean, yeah. What a fucking lame story. Don't get me wrong, being high in the comfort of your room is probably the best place to be, but like, I'ma keep it $1.25 with you. I've probably been high in my room 100 times by now, and I don't remember a single thing about any of those nights. To me, this experience is more like being in the hub area of a video game after a long and hard mission during the day, and you don't see mofos talking about what a crazy time they had in the title screen of a video game. It's usually, you know, the game itself. But anyway, on to the next guy on the list, who is the dude who will try to shame you for not wanting to get high. You ever met a mofo like this? These dudes are kinda like the previous one, but one step worse, cause instead of accepting that maybe you have shit to do, they'll call you a lame-o or buzzkill or bitch-ass shit-licking, dick-riding, butt-munching, cock-enjoying, sneako-watching soy boy. And for what? Not wanting to waste a day by doing nothing but watching The Simpsons and eating Twinkies? Like, mofos need to realize, although it is great to watch Simpsons and eat Twinkies all day, doing that for 2-3 days in a row, most dudes will feel straight up bad and sad. If you're a human being living in today's day and age, to succeed in anything, you can't be doing that consistently. It's gotta be a special occasion, celebration, or when you've already completed your goals for the day and deserve a break. But hey, at least they don't shame you for the thing this next guy shames you for. The dude who will make fun of you for smoking less than him. Now, this guy is a lot like the first dude, but with the added minus of he actually thinks for some odd reason that the fact that he has to smoke a whole damn cart to feel high is a flex. Like, sorry bro, but I know dudes who have the exact same mentality and let's just say they ain't end up so good. Like, for example, this guy who thought being high is a damn competitive ladder that needed to be climbed. You know, like the army, but instead of protecting your country and pursuing peace, it's all about who can smoke the most crack without dying. Like, imagine this same attitude, but instead of Zaza, they'd be doing this with nicotine. Mofo would be 45, working minimum wage in the back of a gas station with a young guy talking about,
what's that? You still puffing on one cig, boy? I'm puffing on 6 at a time, but don't worry, you'll get there someday.
I don't know if I wanna get there, man. Okay, that's never happened, but I'm just trying to show you how ridiculous this is. And P.S., there's a lot more to life than getting high, and I'm definitely not out here being faded 24/7, cause if I was, you'd probably be seeing one video every 2 months. It's all about finding the balance and having the right reasons for inhaling the za. Ever wonder why some dudes can inhale that freshly cut grass an unholy amount of times with eyes so red you think dude is bleeding internally on some exorcist shit, but when asked, how you feeling bro? They'll respond with something like, or, honestly, could go for one more J. Well, the reason for a response like that is due to their rat smoker power, which, contrary to popular belief, isn't all about tolerance. Although that can be an important factor, it isn't everything. So, Randy, who's 30 years old and has been on a tea break for 2 years now, but has been consistently inhaling that grass for the entirety of his adult life, will be much less likely to freak out over some stupid shit than, for example, Jimmy here, who's been getting high for 2 months straight every day and claims himself a Za God. The reason for that is, Jimmy, although his tolerance is almost maxed out, still can't handle the fade in a situation even remotely out of his comfort zone. All that being said, we all start off on level 1.
Bro, I think it was laced.
Level 1, the good old times where the Za was still mysterious and scary. This is the level you're at if you've inhaled that magic spice only a couple times, and only so in the safest, securest, and good vibey situations possible. And honestly, while at this level, you couldn't even imagine doing anything besides eating Doritos and scrolling YouTube shorts whilst blasted, cause you just haven't gotten used to the feeling the green bestows upon you. That being the increase in significance of every thought and action, and because you don't know how to control it, your experiences with weed are mostly in your own head. So when you high, you can't focus on shit. Like really, the only thing that seems to catch your attention for more than 10 seconds is that sweet, sweet flavor on those Sour Patch Kids that you never knew could explode in your mouth like that. Now, depending on if you getting blasted solo or with friends will determine your speed of leveling, cause usually if you with friends, you get used to the Za more quickly because you're socializing. Plus, you know, there's always that one guy in the group that likes to mess with the newbies by getting them as high as possible and then being like, hey guys, let's go to the gas station. Which might seem whatever, but if it's your first time, you might just have a damn panic attack at that 7-Eleven. Cause I swear, everybody is looking at you, and the cashier, he's onto you. Yeah, fuck that guy. Anyway, if you keep on eating grass, you'll move on to level 2. I am the Zaza God. Remember Jimmy, the self-proclaimed Zaza God? Yeah, well, he ain't quite the Za God he believes himself to be. To be honest, he barely a Za foot soldier. Cause it's all good and fine if he gets blasted up to Mars in the comfort of his own home, but take that comfort away and you'll most likely find him walking behind the group on his own looking like a lost puppy. And the reason for that is, my man's thought that he's been high so many times he can be high anywhere, which sadly isn't the case. Think of tolerance as the size of your dick. It can be massive, destructive in nature, and uncontrollably powerful. But what does that matter if all you use it for is to jerk off? Same with tolerance, it's situational, so you can be unfazed by the Za in the comfort of your own home, but as soon as that comfort is taken away, you a total noob again. Instead of focusing on the size of his T, Jimmy should have been focusing on upping his riz and going out and pulling some quality baddies, if you get what I mean. I'd say going from this level to the next is one of the biggest steps in between levels, cause to confidently say you a Za God, you should be able to keep your cool in most public situations, even if everybody is staring at you and every car with a hint of blue is a FBI agent ready to take you away for good. You gotta be chill, like a cucumber. And if you do study the cucumber enough while spugging off the broccoli, you might just advance to level 3, Transformer, Optimus Prime. This level is called Transformer because it's the level where your Zaza adventures completely transform. Instead of only smoking up at the comfort of you or your friend's home, you can now make plans in somewhat chill public areas like fast food places, cinemas, the park, the spa, or really anywhere where you know people will most likely be minding their own business. And because of this newfound power, you probably have also started blazing that green more, which depending on the type of person you are, it could start affecting your everyday tasks and goals negatively. Because although hard to admit, the Zaza can and will make you a lazy mofo if you let it. But as I said, it all depends on the shape of your character, so if you can control the inherent laziness the Za tries to curse you with and still keep on rolling with your goals without becoming a Dorito munching World of Warcraft playing stay-at-home hobgoblin, at some point you'll move on to level 4. Yeah, to be honest, I'm high right now. Welcome to the ultimate purgatory and struggle of a consistent Za enjoyer. As I said before, you only advance to this level if you didn't become a Star Wars lore arguing Prime Dumbledore admiring League of Legends playing high stay-at-home goblin.
Wait, I argue Star Wars lore all the time, and I love Dumbledore.
Well, at least I don't play League of Legends. Anyway, as I was saying, it's quite hard to make it to this level, and even harder to stay here, because nowadays, you are so used to doing stuff whilst blasted, you could theoretically be in that state 24/7. But the problem is, you also know being high 24/7 is expensive, plus, even if you don't notice, I'd say for 95% of people, it makes them less productive as well. So that's why I call it purgatory, because you're constantly pondering the question,
should I maybe do a quick hit before doing this? And although I'd love to say I have the answer to that question, I don't. It all depends on you and your situation. So for example, if I had a job interview, I wouldn't do a quick hit. But then again, I know dudes who say the za makes them less nervous and stressed, plus more talkative. So for those people, I'd have to say, go ahead I guess. But if one day you find a definitive answer to the question, should I maybe do a quick rip before this? You'll move on to the final and most elusive level there is. Level 5. Za God. You have entered into your own subconscious and from it dug out answers to humanity's biggest questions like, are we alone? Why are we here? Why is an 80-year-old man running for president again? And of course, should I bang that Benjamin a little bit before heading out? And I'm sorry to inform you guys that I do not know much of this level because I have yet to make it this far myself, and I still have no idea why Joe Biden is running for president again. But I can tell you this much. This is the level that completely transcends tolerance, as you really don't even need to worry about that anymore, cause you know your body to the point you always know what amount is the right amount. Also, you have figured out the perfect formula for working hard and following your dreams, whilst also inhaling that za and being a chill and interesting dude. High school parties, one of the only places on earth where you can see a mofo jug a bottle of vodka, do a backflip, land on his head, then proceed to get up and go spit some game to the host's mom, and you'd still be like, meh. Like, these places are so filled with hormone energy and axe spray, the only comparison you can really make is high school locker rooms. But even them shits ain't got nothing on the parties. I mean, you basically take these Neanderthals from their locker rooms, throw them in a big house, add unlimited liquor, and some baddies all dressed to get these motherfucking cavemen horny, and you got yourself a situation where if the house doesn't burn down and no one dies, it's considered a success. Like, one time I was at a party with the homie Salamander, and we were just camped out on the couch when this mofo pulled up on us like, yo, is it just me, or is Brittany totally eyeing me in the corner there? I don't know, looks like she's just talking with her friends, bro. Nah, I think she wants to do, if you know what I'm saying. I'ma go check it out. Holy shit, bro, are you okay? Yeah, I'm good. I think the alcohol disinfected my wounds. Anyway, I'm gonna go raise up. Like, bro, ain't no other place on planet Earth where a mofo can fall on a glass table, get cut up and covered in alcohol, and still only have one objective in mind. Must get some hoes. But not everybody's at the parties to pull baddies. There is a select few that have abandoned the genetic desire to get hoes and instead go to these places to get as shit-faced as humanly possible. Like, these are dudes that after graduating 10 years down the line, you'll go back to your school's town and walk down the street and be like, wait, hold up. Is that Brent? Hey, can you spare some change? Can you give $1, bro? I needed to buy, you know what I want. Oh shit, it is. Oh, okay. Just walk past him. I don't think he'll recognize me. Hey, yo, see? Is that you? Me? No, I'm Jefferson. Nah, you see, I remember you. Hey, you think you can spare some change? I'ma go to the sick high school rager tomorrow, and I could use some. Sorry, no, I'm Jefferson, and I have no idea who you are, so I'ma just leave. But bro, I swear, you can foresee everybody's future by just looking around in a high school party. I mean, usually the function's participants were divided into groups. You got the baddies, the jocks, the nerds, and then you got the motherfuckers who pull up just to start some shit. Like, these 3 dudes I used to see at all the parties, let's just call them Peter, Tom, and Jeff, were there just to be menaces, bro. These the types of dudes to root for Joker, not Batman, bro. Straight super villains. Every time you saw them pull up to a function, you knew some shit was about to go down. They come with a bottle of absolute vodka, sit down at the table, and start slamming shots one by one. And every time they finish that bottle, they'd get up and start walking up on groups just passive aggressively trying to start shit. But in their hearts, there was a bunch of pussios. Like, before they got that absolute in their system, or if they weren't all together, they ain't say a word. Like, I remember at one party, I was bugging off some liquor and za when I saw one of these so-called tough guys sitting alone, probably waiting for his friends to bring some absolute so he could drown his insecurities. And I was kinda bored, so I walked up on him purely out of curiosity and asked,
Hey bro, I got a question.
Yeah, what?
Like, why y'all mofos always trying to start shit? Like, don't y'all know nobody likes you? Doesn't that bother you?
What you mean, man? You got a problem?
Slow down there, John Jones. I ain't your wife, and I got no problem. I think it's you who's got that problem, bro.
Hey, what's going on here? Is there a problem? Hey, what's going on here? Is there a problem?
Bro, y'all a bunch of NPCs. Man, y'all probably don't even know what that means. Anyway, have fun with the vodka, you scoundrels. And from that day forward, I was like these dudes' arch nemesis, I swear. I mean, every time I saw them at a party, they gave me the stank eye. Although, because they were all like 5'10" unathletic drunks, and I'm a 6'6" athlete, these dudes avoided me like some taxes, bro. Which pissed me off so much, cause I was just itching to beat the shit out of them. But I ain't them, so I would never start something like that. One thing I did start though, mostly with the homie Salamander, was that after party smoke sesh. I mean, on God, I was feeling like a prophet, cause as we all know, the za is a great cure for a hangover, so even though no one really wanted to be high during the party, after, it was a whole different story. Mofos just appeared out of nowhere, man, I swear, these dudes were like zombies from The Walking Dead. As soon as they smelled the za, they got their drunk asses up from the bathtub or from under the table and started walking towards it. I swear, man, it was like AoE farming in an MMORPG or something. Grab the spliff, walk around the party without looking back, and once I got to the sesh spot, I turn around and there's like 10 different dudes all saying the same thing.
Hey, yo, you think I can get a couple puffs out of that thing, bro?
And man, what profit would I be if I ain't give these hungover dudes a taste of that good? Although sometimes I was tempted to say no, just to see the hope drain from their eyes and be refilled with the agony and suffering of the hangover. But in reality, I never had it in my heart to say no, and sometimes that bitch ain't even make the full rotation. Place was looking like the Last Supper, just without the food. Anyway, high school parties were always crazy, and if you're still in school, I recommend you attend them as much as you can without screwing up your grades, cause after school, you ain't never gonna experience that shit again, bruh.
Buying from the plug is always an experience, cause unless you're super tight with him, you never know if you're gonna get the leftover oregano Reggie pack he scraped from the bottom of his grinder, or if you lucky and the RNG god smile upon you, you might just get the finest organic grass-fed grass there is on planet Earth. But alas, most plugs keep that quality stuff for only the loyalist of customers or new buyers. For me, it was the latter. It begins with me and the main homie Salamander. We had just gotten home from school on a Friday and had scraped our money together for a night of hitting the Spliffington and playing video games. Now, usually it was Salamander who secured the bag, cause I didn't really have too many connects. Unfortunately, this time he was unable to find the holy saw from his usual catalog of plugs. But we didn't let that discourage us, cause we knew if there is a will, there is a way. So both me and Salamander started hitting up everybody we knew who dabbled with the powers of the green plant, and it wasn't looking too good. Altogether, we wrote about 10 people, half of which just ignored us, and the other half just said they were out. So, as we sat there on the couch, hope dwindling, sadness emerging, and worst of all, no Zaza approaching, we were about to call it a day, when one of the dudes who had initially ignored us sent out a beacon of light. Yeah, I know a guy. He just started plugging, so I can't vouch for the quality, but he definitely got some. Now, if you've ever been in a situation like this, you know it is one of the best feelings in the world when you've almost given up, but in the last second, you get that holy text of, yeah, how much? But even though we were pretty stoked, we were also a little bit wary, because this $20 we had saved up was the equivalent of 20 million in today's money, and because this guy was new and no info was given on the quality, we were scared of getting a bag of oregano. And I mean, at the time, we both thought all plugs are grueling gangsters ready to kill you on sight if you so much as make the wrong sound. So if it really was a bag of oregano, there was nothing we could do about it. Anyway, the time comes for us to meet up with this mysterious plug, and the instructions he gave us were to come to this rundown gas station's loading area in the back at 8 p.m. sharp. So we did. As we were standing there at 7:58 p.m., we could only imagine what vicious, heinous, devious killer would come to greet us. So yeah, we hyped him up a little too much, but all that mattered now was the grass and if it was good or not. We went through the usual plug dialogue options like, yo, what's up? Yeah bro, can't wait to get suited today. This that good, etc. Until he finally revealed the grass, and what I witnessed to this day I find absurd. The grass was golden.
Nani?
Not in like shiny gold, but it was this yellowish color with green accents. Beautiful.
And the smell. Bro opened that bag up for us to sniff, but it was not necessary, as the smallest opening in that Ziploc baggie consumed the entire area with the finest fragrance imaginable. Oh, okay, well, finest is the wrong word probably. The shit smelled like cat piss, but that's a good thing with Zaza. So we gave up our $20 with no hesitation and returned to Salamander's place with this golden grass of the gods. Now, usually we would just roll up a spliff and consume the za like that. But as this seemed to be legendary material and we didn't want to waste even a single microgram, we made a makeshift can that would allow us to ration this gram to the maximum. So now it was time to hit the za, and it went something like this. Are you ready? Shit, you know it. Here goes nothing. You good, bro? Yeah, you gotta hit this shit, man. Hey, you good? You good, bro? You hear me? You good? Yeah, man, this is some good stuff. This shit was heavenly. It was not of this world, I swear. Now, I'm not sure if it was because our tolerance was pretty much zero at the time, or it was really grass descending from heaven. Probably a mix of both. But one thing I do know, that was the highest I had ever been up until that point. And well, as we know, when you were really high, you don't remember much the night after. So unfortunately, I don't know exactly what we talked about or what we did, but I do remember that we caught a major case of the Joker's laughing gas cause we found everything hilarious. We were so goddamn high, it took us a solid 20 minutes to navigate the PS4 menu to launch our game of Call of Duty. And when we did launch it, we were cognitively impaired. Felt like the controller was inverted or some shit. But safe to say, that Friday night we were truly blessed by the plug. And we went on to exclusively buy from that guy until he stopped plugging 1 month later. But he will always hold a special place in my heart as the plug of plugs. I don't know about you guys, but I can be kind of a straight to the point, don't care how you feel type of guy. But for some reason, when I'm faded, that low-key changes. Like, the za seems to make me care more about others and how they feel. Don't get me wrong though, I'm not out here going out of my way to help some grandma cross the street and then run into the nearest blood donation bank where after donating my blood, I volunteer myself at the soup kitchen. It's more like if I wasn't high and was waiting in traffic and an old lady was crossing the street, I think, oh my god, you chose the perfect time to cross the street, didn't you? Now I have to sit here like an idiot. I got to do, woman. Move! Compared to if I was theoretically high. Look at that grandma crossing the street. I wonder where she's going. Probably to see her grandkids. Just wonderful. So yeah, I guess the za makes me more inclined to other people's problems in life, whereas if I'm not faded, I seem to focus mostly on my own without taking into account others. But it's not that simple if we're trying to answer the question of, does being high make you a better person? Because another way to look at it is, it just makes you more lazy. Like the example of the grandma crossing the street. What if the difference in reaction is not that of me being just a great all-around guy, but the za just making me forget why I was in a rush in the first place? Being annoyed, stressed, nervous, etc., although not nice feelings, are symptoms of doing something out of your comfort zone. And doing something outside that zone is really the only way to get anywhere in life. Think about it. Do you know anyone who is actually successful in anything without frequently being stressed? You probably don't. Well, you might, but that dude is just probably some snobby rich kid who embezzles funds from their dad's yacht maintenance fund into their shitty little company they started with their friends that they only use to make it seem like it's them who's making money, when in reality all they're doing is taking funds from their rich parents and putting them into their pocket and telling everybody I worked for it, but hey, what do I know? Anyway, we've concluded that the za can make you a more understanding and better person, but it can also make you a lazy mofo who loses the ability to step outside their comfort zone. So, is it bad? Nah, I mean, not really. As we know, the key to everything in life is moderation. And if practiced correctly, it can help you with literally everything, not just the zaza. My point here is that there is a time and place for everything, so there is no real answer to if the zaza makes you a better person, because it all depends on the context of the situation. So if you're always faded and sit around and eat pizzas and watch the Shaolin Chronicles all day, but then say your philosophy is, bruh, I'm all about peace and love,
I don't wanna be like you, stressing out all the time. I chase tranquility.
Your argument is not valid to anyone who is trying to achieve something in life besides tranquility. But then again, it goes the other way around as well. So a 24/7 stressed out, always working, never resting dude would say something like,
if you wanna make it anywhere in life, you can never rest. You gotta outwork everyone, even if that means drinking 6 energy drinks a day, vaping 24/7 to stop the disease of feeling tired, and you gotta sleep a maximum of 4 hours a day to maximize your work time. And obviously, you gotta work out at least 3 hours a day to build that muscle.
like, bro, chill. You might be rich, but what does that matter if you die at 35? Obviously, these are two extremes, both at different far ends of the spectrum, and really, you should try to position yourself somewhere in the middle. There is a time and place for everything, especially for the green magic plant, because if you start frequently using it, it really does take your edge away, and if your goal for life isn't only tranquility, then that is definitely a bad thing. Then again, if you're an uber-focused person who finds it very hard to relax even when they should be, then the Zaza can definitely help you in that department and give you a well-deserved break. And dare I say, it can even make you a better person. Or at least make it seem like it to the people around you, cause in reality, you're the same guy, just on a different planet. For example, here are some everyday situations whilst high versus when you aren't. Number 1, someone asks you to do the laundry, but you're not high. Hey bro, can you please do the laundry?
Okay, I will.
Versus if you are high, hey bro, can you please do the
Shh, of course I'll do the laundry. You did it last time, it's only fair.
Second situation, you're stuck in traffic on a sunny day, whilst you're not high.
How long is this shit gonna take? I should've just taken the second road.
Versus when you are high.
Ooh, is that a new Porsche? Damn, that guy must be rich. So nice just bathing under the sun in this traffic. Oh, shit, I gotta move.
Number 3, you're in the cinema.
And you're high. This is awesome.
Versus you're not high.
This is lame.
Okay, the last one didn't really add anything to the video. I just really like being high in the cinema. Anyway, I hope you learned something from this video and maybe achieved tranquility. Do you remember your first time smoking the Zaza? I bet you used either some type of makeshift Mountain Dew can where you inhaled more green paint than anything, or you rolled yourself an abomination of a spliff where half the stuff got stuck in the filter whilst you were standing there sucking on it like... Bro, why this shit ain't working?
Bro, of course it ain't working. Look at the damn crutch. You were supposed to roll a filter, not a leak-proof titanium pipe. Fool.
Yet, the more you blaze, the better your tools and skills to do so improve. But everybody starts off at Level 1. First timer. This is the level where you'll be holding your butts like Elon Musk. Only you're not Elon Musk and your homies will clown the hell out of you for holding the split like it was a diamond or something. Also, at this point, your understanding of rolling blunts is that you put the stuff in the middle and just kind of roll it up like a cone. It doesn't actually work like that. And if you were to hit any type of can or makeshift bong, even after the slightest inhale, you'll be on the floor coughing your lungs out of your throat like...
So I just inhaled from this opening? Yeah, man.
You bastard, you licked it, didn't you? But no worries, after a while of being clowned on, you'll eventually learn enough to get to Level 2.
Yeah bro, I can roll it no problem.
Even though you're still only a beginner, this is where your confidence is at its highest, cause you've rolled a couple splits and instead of them being completely unusable, the homies usually are like, okay, whatever, it'll do. This is also the stage where you'll probably green out for the first time, cause you overestimate your tolerance a lot. Thinking that just cause you've blazed up 3 times in the past 30 days, you're ready to go over to the homie's house and start hitting something called the gravity bump?
Whatever though, how much higher can you even get, right?
Also, at this stage you just might have a makeshift aluminium can pipe thing at your place, but buying an actual is out of the question, cause you'd rather cough till you're on the floor in tears than pay $20 for something that isn't even necessary. Well, wait a month or so and you'll be on Level 3.
Schmack the diddly do.
At this point, you've decided that the negative health implications of inhaling paint and plastic into your lungs is worth fixing with $23. And now that you have your own piece, your tolerance has gotten to the point where you can handle gravity sessions pretty well. There's really not much to say at this level, except you're the average smoker photographer who can roll a quality spliff in a couple minutes, and you usually never ruin the group's vibe because you got too high. Well, that's until you get to level 4. What's a dab, bro? You've mastered the powers of a gravity bomb, but one day your friend invites you over to his place, thinking it's gonna be an average day of blazing and playing Warzone. But then he pulls out something that looks a lot like a vape, only it's not a vape, it's the key to the other side. You hit the Benjamin for the first time, and you find yourself completely obliterated. So much so that you think to yourself, never again will I hit the Benjamin, for the power is too much for a mere mortal to handle. Until you realize that normal bud just don't get you as high as you would want to get. So you get your own dab pen, and eventually you'll be on level 5, the double Benjamin. Now at this point, you've thrown your bong in a box somewhere and you use something that looks straight out of a Rick and Morty episode, a dab station. But to be honest, you're starting to miss the good old days of getting faded by just sharing a spliff with the homies. Cause at this point, unless you're hitting ridiculous blinkers with the double Benjamin, man, you barely feel high. So you decide it's time to take a tolerance break and ascend into level 6, Avatar, the master of all 4 elements. You've realized that chasing the next knockout high isn't really what blazing is about, and you now just smoke up at appropriate times with the appropriate tools. So if you're just trying to chill and play video games, you might just hit a quick rip from the bong. Or if you're going to the store, you'd roll a nice spliff. And if you're going to, let's say, an amusement park with your friends, well, that's when you might consider busting out the double Benjamin and getting faded than a hoe.